Okay, so as a quick recap, we are going to pick up where we left off last time with you guys, just in the kind of rushes now that swamp a little bit away from the village of Port of Call on your way to Landfon. Obviously, last session we had the kind of ritual that you were witness to. But now that that has kind of taken place, you guys find yourselves alone. By now, the sun has long since set. You've already kind of bid farewell to the villagers a few hours earlier before sneaking back up around, and you're still a good few days' travel from Landfon. But now you know these woods aren't necessarily as natural as you may once have thought they were. So you've got a bit of a decision to make as to what you do next.
The villagers said that they haven't been attacked by anything in these woods because of their lord. Can we assume that we'll be safe as well? We didn't actually annoy him too much.
He did tell us to leave, but did he mean leave the clearing, or did he mean leave?
Fair to say, he might not be as busy on his wedding night as most regular grooms, maybe. So let's leave the clearing and maybe get towards do a bit of travelling and then rest.
I mean, realistically, you need like 2 minutes on a wedding night anyway, so yeah, we should probably go.
We head up along the coast, maybe stay at the edge of the forest line as we head up to Landfall. Maybe.
Yeah, a bit less of a dense area to walk through potentially along the coast.
Mm-hmm.
Just until we're out of the immediate area, and then we can cut across.
Yeah.
Braxton, when you left the Bastion of Nirna, did you go by boat?
Yes, the main form of travel was via boat.
The Bastion is the real main kind of port on that kind of separate island, but there are fairly short distances between places from that and the island you're currently on. So it's not necessary to have a large sailing boat, but not everybody wants to stop off on Landfall. If you're trying to travel directly from the main continent, people tend to sail there directly,
Okay.
necessitating a deep water harbour, which is kind of what Nirna provides. But yeah, to therefore travel backwards and forwards, Braxton, you would have had a fair bit of experience sailing kind of down that channel.
Yeah, just up like between Landfon and the Lamas here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a particularly long or harrowing journey. The seas tend to be fairly calm there, as it's quite sheltered waters.
Yeah. Yeah, if we could somehow find a boat, then I can easily take us to Nirna.
Maybe I could arrange a little something.
Well, we need to find the timber at first at Landfall, I assume.
Yeah, sorry, I was getting a bit ahead of ourselves with that question.
I mean, if we can get to Landfall, obtain the right kind of timber, send someone on the way, and then we could head over to Nirna in the meantime. I mean, it'll take a couple of days for the timber to get to the captain, then maybe a few days more for them to fix the boat up. In the meantime, we could head over to Nirna and back again.
Yep.
Maybe.
Sounds like a good plan.
So either way, we've got to go to Landfon first.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, walking around the coast then sounds like the best idea.
yeah, so we'll hike down to the coast out of the forest, camp overnight, and then head out first thing.
Okay, so deciding to kind of put the village behind you, you set off in a kind of southerly direction towards where you remember the coastline being. And although you're not particularly deep into the forest, it does feel very, very uneasy as you walk through it. You can't help but suspect you're being watched. Although, Havel, you keep your eyes, peeled for any signs of movement, but this forest is unusually quiet. So you guys kind of make your way fairly sharpish out of these woods, and after about an hour walking through the forest in the dark, you come to the coast. The forest gradually gives way to a kind of rocky cliff face, so you don't have necessarily a clearing to walk along the coastline, but the trees are a lot less dense. And it'll make navigating a little easier if you can keep your kind of right-hand side towards the ocean. So you find somewhere that's going to be suitably sheltered, at least relatively speaking, and set up a camp. Now, are we burning fires? Are we setting sentries?
No fires. I don't think.
Auric, the usual alarm system.
I don't have that prepared. Quite embarrassing. Ooh.
It's a ritual.
I think you need to have a spell prepared in order to cast it as a ritual.
Oh.
I think you do anyway.
No, I thought though that's the
I'm
point
not
of
sure. I
rituals.
think there's a point of
So
ritual casting, yeah.
you
The
don't
point of
have to have
ritual
it.
casting is that it doesn't take a spell slot as you cast it. You
think
still
it's
need to prepare it,
both.
but if it's both, it's very powerful.
I think for clerics at least, it's both.
I think the problem with that is the main ritual casting classes are druid, cleric, and warlock, and druids and clerics have access to all their spells at any given time, so they don't have to prepare them. And so that's a good question, actually. I think, as Guy says, it would be very powerful to let an artificer do it, so I think we'll have to stick with prepared spells only to be ritual cast for him.
Okay.
Because Tristan, hers are they're a pact invocation, aren't they? So that's an active choice to do it rather than just being passive ability. Well,
Yeah, I've just found the rules. You do have to have it prepared.
You don't as a wizard, I think it says.
Uh,
Because it's in your spell book, so you can literally just read it out of your spell book as you're doing the ritual. But yeah, for everyone else, pretty much, I think you do have to have it prepared.
Interesting.
Cool. Well, in which case, then you are without your usual magical alarms.
Okay. Well, I'll take first watch then, because I can, meditate a little bit and still kind of keep one eye on things.
I'll take a short rest and then take the second slot because it doesn't impact me so much.
we're doing 3 slots or 2.
Depends how long you want the slots to be. You could do 2 shifts of 4 hours. That would be the duration of a long rest.
That's probably sensible.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. So, Rulin, you kind of place yourself down at the base of a tree and ready yourself to kind of keep a watchful eye of the woods whilst your companions get about setting up camp.
Passive perception 19. Your awareness. Oh.
Mm-hmm. So, the rest of you kind of get set up and get into your respective sleeping bags and try and get some rest. Well, actually, I suppose, by this stage you're fairly used to kind of a constant threat of danger, so maybe you don't have too much difficulty getting to sleep, who knows. So, Rulin, your watch starts, and you kind of keep an ear open, and your eyes scanning of the woods. Me roll the dice.
Say again, sorry?
Sorry, I just said I'd roll the dice.
Excuse me.
Yeah, so you keep looking deep into the woods, but no sign of this creature, or of any movement for that matter of fact. The trees sway in a breeze, and occasionally you hear the snapping of a branch deep into the forest, but nothing immediately of any concern to you as you keep your eyes glued to the woods. After a few hours, though, you feel a kind of hand on your shoulder as Triss kind of takes over being on watch. So you let her know that you haven't seen anything of note, and then prepare to meditate. What's your passive perception, Triss?
15. No, 14.
Well, at least I'm getting my high rolls out of the way now, huh? So, Triss, following Rulin's example, you sit yourself down and just stare into this forest. The trees are honestly quite boring to look at, more so than usual, as these are kind of a pine variety, so they're all fairly similar in the fact that they've just got very straight trunks. You don't get some of the uniqueness that you see in deciduous woodlands. But it does mean that you can have a reasonably good view fairly deep into the forest, but again, you see absolutely no movement, nothing at all, not even the odd passing deer or rabbit. The woods seems spookily quiet, and you can't help but wonder whether that has anything to do with what you may have witnessed today. But the night drags on, and eventually the sun starts to rise in the east, and you hear the kind of noise of your companions starting to stir for the morning.
Oric setting up his several beakers and Bunsen's.
Braxton's quick to remind him. You saw what was there last night, Toric. No sudden noises.
Don't worry. The reagents aren't the explodey kind.
Good.
Eureka! I've done it!
The joyous exclamation echoes into the forest, bouncing off a few of the trees. Ruin, you instinctively kind of grab your spear, but nothing comes of it. The woods are empty. It seems that Torek is able to brew in peace.
Excellent. That's a potion of transfiguration and a potion of boldness, also known as boner juice.
Yeah.
Patent pending.
Yeah. Just if this world had TV, Torek would be on channel like 83 selling boner juice.
Yeah, just like shitty shopping channel.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so Tarek, you finish brewing up and make ready to move out. The rest of you obviously are already packed long before Torek is done putting that away, so you're able to set off and make a fairly good pace away from this forest. And as you march throughout the morning, you start to feel a bit better about your surroundings. The forest becomes a little less dense as you head east. But yeah, you've probably got a day and a half of travel left along this kind of rugged terrain. But that being said, it is very scenic to look at. This coastline seems to be largely untouched, and the cliffs are really quite striking. You watch as the surf breaks against the rocks below, and you can't help but marvel at the raw power held within the waves. Tarek, roll me a perception.
Ooh, those are words I didn't want to hear. Gonna be that'll be yep, 14.
Was that a shadow you saw in the water far out to sea? Or was it just merely a passing cloud shading the water from the sun's ray? Can't really be sure at this distance.
Anyone else see that?
What?
Tarek gestures out
Yonder, over there.
and points to a particularly non-distinct patch of seawater.
Can we all have a good stare at it?
Uh-huh. So you guys stare out. After a while, you deduce that Torek is probably suffering from some fume inhalation or something of that nature.
I know you said they were non-explosive varieties this morning, Toric, but were they potentially toxic varieties?
No. I was very careful to pick the correct mushrooms. Wait, was I? Walking away, like questioning himself. I just imagine like it's so easy to gaslight Tori.
Yeah, I know. I mean, considering that he's insane to start with, it's
yeah, it's not much to change his reality.
So, deciding to ignore the gnome, you guys forge on and keep going until dusk starts to kick in again. So you find somewhere to camp, and you actually find an ideal spot just at the base of a reasonably sized waterfall. The water's clear and very fair tasting, so you fill your canteens up with this kind of sparkling fresh water. Yeah, again, from a taste of this, it's clearly coming from a spring of fairly high quality somewhere further inland. But you guys set up camp and have a restful night. For the sake of simplicity, just say that we did what you did last time, and we'll go on from there. The night's uneventful anyway. You do kind of struggle to get to sleep a little bit just with the sound of the water, but after a little while, it starts to become white noise, and eventually kind of lulls you to sleep a little bit just due to its repetitive nature. But you can't help but thinking that you might be waking up in the night needing the toilet a bit more with that sound of running water. Sunrise the next day, though, brings a real change in mood as you guys are now very firmly on your way. You're only probably a morning's march away from your destination, and now that you're a bit further away from this creature, Braxton starts to tell you a little bit about the city. Having been there a few times in his earlier days with the Azuran Order. So, being the main city on this landmass, it's quite an industrious place. Obviously, the sea provides a lot of its livelihood. Fishermen are common, but it also is home to some of the world's finest saltwater sponges, and as such, divers are quite commonly found around its shores looking for these precious creatures. The city itself, though, has always been a bit of a thorn for the Order of Azura, though. Being so close to their home bastion, it's always been a bit of a snuff that they could never actually manage to evangelize the citizens around to worshipping Azura. No, instead, the citizens there, they're already fairly pious in their own right. Only they are firm disciples of the goddess Fomrius, the goddess of balance and strife. If that rings a bell for anybody. It's not to the point where there's ever been any clashes or tension, but in fact, it's seen as a bit of a cultural exchange. The citizens are reasonably open to listening to the sermons delivered by the Order. It never seems to stick, though. Their beliefs are fairly solid. This is kind of the main point that Braxton talks to you about, as that was largely why he was in the city. But from the sounds of it, it's a fairly busy place. You'll stand a pretty good chance of getting some timber there, especially with such a thriving maritime industry. But this passes the time as you make your way further east along the coast. About 10:30 in the morning, you crest a ridge and see below you the first striking image of the city is the large central cathedral of sorts, the towers of which, made in stone, reach towards the skies. However, on closer inspection, you look down, you see that the city appears to be, not quite in ruins, but damaged in some way. You can see that several houses are missing walls, roofs. There's smoke coming from from some of these, but not the smoke of raging fires out of control, but more the sort of fire and smoke you would expect to see come from chimneys or cooking fires, things like that. On closer inspection, you can actually see the streets appear to be flooded.
The streets are flooded. Ooh. Is that normal?
I can assure you this is not normal. Something big has happened.
As you draw closer, you can start to hear the noise of everyday life in a city. As you descend this ridge down towards it, you start to see that the city streets are indeed covered by a appears to be about a foot deep layer of seawater. And as far as you can tell, this stretches all the way out to the coast, but you can't really see Braxton, the port that once used to be here. But as you make your way through the suburb towards the start of the city proper, you can see that citizens are still here. They're walking around the streets. Some have got stalls set up, hawking various wares, sponges, fish, the usual market activity you'd expect to see here. But people are seemingly not bothered by this. You can already work out that this is clearly something they've adapted to. A lot of them are wearing waders of a fairly crude and makeshift variety. Others are just getting on with it, and a few are even actually kind of paddling small boats through these the larger streets. It's really quite a bizarre sight. The only land you can see here that seems to be dry is the cathedral itself, which stands on a slightly raised mound towards the centre of the city.
Okay.
How strange.
How strange indeed.
So, theories?
I'm going to throw it out there because it does seem to be a lot of the case around this coast. Kraken.
Oric shudders visibly.
Actually,
Like you hear the sounds of his servos, just like.
houses destroyed, docks gone. I mean, water everywhere. It's either pretty horrendous storm or something big.
Can I roll a history to determine if these phenomena link up with any, I don't know, anything that may have occurred in the past along the coast?
Yeah, sure.
All right. A roll for has this happened before? 25.
You recall the legends of the tsunami that laid low the Bastion of Half. The one that
We've just
you
come
were
from.
kind of ambushed at, yeah.
Permission to move the party.
Yeah, yeah,
Or-
sure.
Permission
Fly.
denied.
Right.
We must live in the woods.
Almost looks like it's been hit by a tsunami. We should look for survivors.
Well,
The survivors are all around you,
they're
going about their
everywhere.
everyday life.
they're walking
Okay.
around, Tarek.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sorry, I was quite alarmed.
I just like to imagine
is
that,
correct.
like, a few of these people just kind of look at this dome and just go, "We must look for survivors," and just kind of like give him a passing glance and then just ignore him and move on.
Do you think he needs glasses?
I think he needs a lot of things.
I had some glasses prescribed to me, but I don't bother wearing them.
Ah, that does explain some things. Yeah.
That's why we don't let him drive the cart.
I also take a lot of mutagens.
Well, we still need to try and find timber, and I suppose we should try and look for someone in charge. Maybe we can find more about what's happened and getting hold of the timber. I mean, they don't exactly look like they're in much of a position for helping us, but maybe they've got something.
Yeah. We might be empty-handed here, but we might as well ask.
Is there like a town hall, city hall type building? Or
It seems to be the cathedral is a pretty thriving hub of activity.
Okay.
Seems to be where a lot of the citizens are mainly heading to and from. So yeah, you start to wade through the streets. You got to get the usual merchants trying to hawk various things to you. People are keen for you to come and feel just how fresh their particular sponges are. And they've got carts of the stuff. They must clearly be quite abundant, at least here anyway. But you ignore them and push forward. As you approach this cathedral, the ground starts to rise a little bit under your feet, and the water recedes until you're stood just outside. And you can see that this cathedral has clearly been damaged. One of the kind of corner towers has suffered a pretty catastrophic collapse. There's a breach in one of the walls too, and it seems that all the stained glass windows have long since been boarded up. But that doesn't stop the townsfolk from really kind of congregating here. And as you enter, you're taken aback a little bit because instead of the usual environment you might expect in a house of worship, instead the pews have been seemingly cannibalized, and a series of almost like scaffold structures have been set up all along the walls of a town hall. You can see that people have set up makeshift homes almost at kind of varying levels of this scaffolds kind of along the wall, trying to make good use of the space. But all sorts of activities going on. You've got more people peddling wares, but you've got others who are just going about the functions of everyday life. So you can smell there's a kind of a large cauldron bubbling away with a soup of some sort, kind of towards the altar area. It seems that somebody fairly industrious has also managed to set up what appears to be a distillery of sorts under one of the cloisters. But the noise is, really pretty high in here. It's clear that this is the central hub. But it's hard to really point to any one person who's in charge as such. The kind of the populace here is so varied. You've got everyone from fisherman to merchant living under this same roof for now, it seems. But as you make your way in, you start to get a few odd looks. Obviously, an adventuring party such as yourselves draws attention. And after a while, an old man walks out, and you can see that he's wearing the robes of a priest of some sorts. He welcomes you in. Oh, please come forward. Have some soup, travellers. You must be new arrivals. I haven't seen you here.
Take me to the soup.
So you're led to a seat near this cauldron. Torek is eager at first, but on being handed a bowl of quite thick.
This isn't soup. This is chowder. No, I won't throw.
Yeah, so after being handed what actually turns out to be a bowl of clam chowder, he's a little less enthusiastic about it.
I don't like chewy soup. Such a waste of time.
We could blend it for you if you wanted. Or mush it. You should
It's
make a blender.
You tell me you have a blender. Why do you have a blender?
The less said
I'll
about that,
deal
the
with.
better.
Yeah, Torik's going to look quite vacant while chewing his soup.
So the priest gives you a bit of time to kind of tuck into this. It's very hearty, actually. Clearly quite filling, and obviously straight from the cauldron. It's piping hot. It gives you a moment to kind of tuck into that before kind of opening the conversation again. You'll have to forgive my curiosity, but let's say we haven't seen many new faces for a while in Lanfon here. What brings you our way?
Oh, we were passing through the channel to the west, past the bastion of Halth, and our ship ran into some trouble and ended up grounded on a reef.
My
We've,
condolences. Let's say fate that has befallen a few of our own sailors recently. The sea has been challenging these last few months.
Certainly. Well, it does seem like you've had your own spot of trouble with the sea.
Yes, he nods. Yes, we certainly have, but such is our lot in life. We live from the sea, and such we must be prepared for the sea to dictate the terms. But it is a strife that we will overcome with the watchful hand of the goddess.
Certainly. But we made our way here. We stopped in Porth Call to the west. We were hoping to try and find some timber to help repair our ship. I don't suppose you would have the right kind of aged timber for us to take with us to purchase, of course.
Well, I'm not entirely sure what our merchants have in stock, but we certainly have a fair amount of salvage if you could get to it. But I'm sure that you'll be able to find something here. It's a big city after all, even if most of it is now only accessible to us when the tides permit.
So, what has happened exactly? Is the city dropped?
The change came quite quickly. It was, well, I believe the scholars would call it a tsunami, but well, what they might call it doesn't change the fact that it was clearly sent by the deities above. You see, we had grown fairly idle. The city had enjoyed a period of good prosperity, and it is the natural order that these things must always come to an end sooner or later. It seems that we were doing so well that the gods saw it fit to make it soon. As such, the tides, they rolled in following this wave, and they've not really receded ever since. Some of the more superstitious. He says that word and kind of almost spits it out as if it were dirty. More superstitious amongst us claim that they have seen creatures roaming the streets, but it is just for children mostly, and those who are looking to spread dissent.
Right.
But we make do. The city still thrives, the sea is as bountiful as ever. We just have to be a bit more creative in how we exploit it.
Certainly. These creatures that you made mention of. Um, what sort of creatures? You may not place much stock in it, but we have had some experience with some rather nasty elements.
Oh well, I'm not going to call you a liar at all. No, there are definitely things out there, but these are mere wives' tales. The mothers used to put their children to bed on time. They maintain that if the kids are naughty and out at night, the sea creatures will drag them away.
Right.
But I can assure you it's nonsense.
Of course. Suppose it's the usual fare of stories told in taverns and things of that nature.
Well, a lot of the sailors now find themselves without a ship and have taken to drink. It is a sinful lifestyle at the best of times, but we let it slide on account of what has befallen them. But we pay no heed to it. It's drunk nonsense.
Of course. Speaking of the sailors falling on hard times, do you have any ships still in operation? Maybe docked somewhere else?
Most of our fishing fleet was destroyed during the initial wave. Any merchant ship that survived have long since put to sea.
Right.
Nowhere to dock, no cargo to take on. It's just not profitable, they tell me.
Well, you certainly seem to have a lot of sponges for sale.
Yes, it's been our main export for quite some time. But now, with no ships to take them to the continent, we find ourselves with a bit of a surplus. It's becoming quite a challenge to motivate the divers to go out and get any fresh ones when there are so many lying around here with nowhere to go.
Of course.
I'm concerned for the spiritual health of our citizens. It is easy work for the forces of darkness to corrupt the idle minds.
Yes. Forces of darkness. Well, we should probably get going. Let's have a word with some of your merchants about getting hold of that timber. You you would
yes.
happen to know as well. I mean, with the lack of ships, are there any land bridges to the island to the east? We were hoping to perhaps reach the bastion of Nerna.
Don't be silly, nobody can build a bridge that far.
No natural bridges across between the islands, and no shallow waters that could be passed without a ship.
No, not unless you're a very good swimmer.
Okay.
Anyway, I must tend to my flock. Enjoy your soup. He nods and bids you farewell before turning off and walking away into the crowds. But as you're kind of finishing off your soup, you hear a kind of a psst from kind of towards the side of this cathedral, and you look and see that in the kind of shadow of one of these kind of scaffold platforms, Seems to be a fairly portly chap, dressed in fairly kind of exotic clothes. From the look of him, you can see that this chap is most likely a merchant of sorts, but he's kind of beckoning you in a manner that he probably thinks is clandestine, whereas in reality is nothing of the sort.
We'll wander over.
Looking over your shoulder in a very overemphasized manner to check that you haven't been followed, he kind of leans in. Excuse me, but I couldn't help but notice. Are you adventurers?
What gave it away?
Well, just my eye. I've got a good eye for things. Well,
Sort of cast a glance at the others, looking at all the knives, swords, shields, and bows and
Plates
arrows and
armor, yeah.
spears. I don't know. So, what could have possibly given it away?
Torik's just looking up from the soup like, what?
Well, excellent. Good. He kind of shakes out offers a kind of podgy hand, and kind of before you can really do anything about it, is firmly shaking your hand. Allow me to introduce myself. The name's Oscar Merrimack. I'm a merchant by trade, but well, I was. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. I dare say we might be able to help each other out. You see, I was in this godforsaken hellhole of the city when that bloody great wave came in. Thankfully, I was fairly inebriated and on the top floor of a tavern at the time, so I escaped the worst of it. But I can't say the same for my poor vessel. She's out there on the reef, stuck high and dry, but I have no means of really getting to her or my cargo. And with all this talk of strange beasties out and about, I don't really want to risk it either. Now, I heard that you're after timber, and I can assure you that my vessel is of the finest build. So, I think we can help each other out. If you're willing to go and retrieve my my cargo from the hold, well, you have my permission to strip that ship to its very last nail, if that's what you need.
Right. What is the cargo?
Well, the only thing I really desperately need is a strong box. It'll be located down in the hold. Just very, very tough thing, so I doubt it will have been bothered too much by the tossing and turning of the waves. But the rest is probably long since ruined by the waters anyway. But this box, if you can bring that to me, then I'll be most happy indeed. I can finally be on my way from this damp hellhole.
Right. Well, we'd have to try and find some sort of vessel to get us over there. How badly damaged was your ship?
Well, hard to say. I did go back to it, but she's out there stuck on the reef. The tides don't seem to be moving her, so I suspect she's lodged in place.
Right. Well,
I'll tell you what. I'll have my bodyguards come over and show you the way. He's a fairly resourceful chap, but he's turned to the bottle a little lately.
let's see. Well, we do need the timber. The gentleman we spoke to, pious fellow, he didn't put much stock in these talk of beasties, but would you know more about that sort of thing?
Well, he's a priest. He doesn't put much stock in anything outside of his dull books and stories. But no, there have been rumours going around certain circles that there are things out there. You see, I'm a fairly industrious individual, and obviously my first thoughts after the initial wave had come out had been to go and secure certain valuable assets that the town might otherwise miss. I sent a few fellows out, but only one of them came back, and he wasn't really able to talk about it all too much. Just sits and shakes. Very dullard, really.
When you say he sits and shakes, does he
He's-
seem a bit touched in the head?
Yes, quite possibly. He's very rude. He just sits and ignores you.
So turn to the others. Does that sound familiar to you?
Could we perhaps meet this fella?
Whatever for. He's no use to anybody, really. It's a waste of soup, if you ask me.
Well,
Perhaps we could learn something from him that some others have missed.
I have a knack for getting through to people.
Well, I suppose you can, but I think the only thing you'll learn is that you'd much rather sit there and watch paint dry. But I suppose how you adventurers do things is up to you. I won't overstep my mark. Do you come with me? I'll show you to him. So he, through unreasonable efforts, gets himself off the makeshift stool he'd been sat on and kind of waddles through the crowds. You follow him, and he kind of leads you down to what appears to have once been the priest's private quarters, but have long since been converted into a makeshift kind of infirmary. And sure enough, sat in a corner, is a fairly kind of scraggly looking chap, little more than skin and bones at this point, who was just sat with his kind of knees up to his chest and kind of rocking a little bit. You can see that he's kind of just scratching at something on the wall, kind of compulsively almost.
I'm gonna go up to him. I'll just gently pop my hand on his shoulder and see if we get a reaction.
So you put your hand on this chap's shoulder, but the rocking continues. He doesn't even really seem to notice.
I'm gonna just say hello.
Again, nothing. The scratching continues. You actually catch a glimpse, and you see that his nails have long since been kind of eroded away. He's just almost kind of just pawing at this stone.
Yikes. And then finally I'm gonna tune in to his brain. See what's going on in there.
He is going to roll a wisdom saving throw to see what you see. Okay, Triss. So you tune in, and what you see is not really all too revealing. The kind of the image seems to be of being sat in a small rowboat, but the area around you is dark. It's clearly nighttime in this man's memory, and you see a few others in the boat. A couple of blokes are rowing through what appear to be streets. The walls of which they bear damages. It's not somewhere you've walked through in the city, but given that you can see the cathedral in the background, you reckon that this is from down closer to the port area. You focus a little bit on the scene in front of you, and you can see that the boat is full of a few things that this merchant might perhaps have been out to secure, amongst which is clearly a reasonably sized pouch of coin. A few other bits and pieces of value. You can see there's a rolled up painting. You suspect this merchant might have been looting rather than securing, but he did say he was an industrious chap.
We did.
So you kind of focus on that for a bit before the kind of a point of view shifts skywards, and you kind of find this chap's mind's eye is gazing at the moon. Although all of a sudden the boat rocks, and you kind of look back, but one of the rowers is missing. The other one is kind of frantically looking left and right. You kind of heard the splash, but you didn't see the guy go over. Kind of panicking, this fellow who you're living his memory for. You kind of watch as his head starts to rotate as he's clearly scanning the water for something. Whereas at the corner of your eye, you see a flash of something. Kind of hear a cry before it's cut off, and another splash. The head whips around, just in time to see something scaled disappear beneath the waves. And as you're kind of turning around in this chap's memory, it all goes dark. And then it starts playing over again from the beginning.
That's my cue to leave, I think. I'm gonna take the image of the scaled creature that we saw and just sort of send it to the others and see if anyone, particularly Havel and Torek, see if they have any idea of what creature that is.
Is it not the one that we've seen before?
The images that Triss is sending you are very blurred. Coupled with the darkness, it's really not very clear what you're looking at, other than it is a tail of sorts. It's also in possession of what appears to be a dorsal fin.
It has to be the same creatures that we came across at the ruins down in the Empire. I mean, it's the same.
Ones.
Yeah, it's the same symptoms as well. I mean, the man that we visited in the asylum in Wayden, it's the exact same situation. Maybe these creatures have some sort of psychic effect. I mean, we thought that man was just traumatized, but I mean, maybe he was, but it's more than that. Maybe they're having some kind of psychic effect.
Possibly.
Or perhaps they're just so terrifying that they do this to everyone they meet.
He seems to be stuck in a loop of the last few moments before I assume he came into close contact with them.
Well, if those creatures are around, it's always a potential then that their master could be around also.
Very true.
Apple, roll me a perception check.
You say 9.
Oh, well, you kind of hear something above and look up and see what appears to be two small eyes and a kind of mat of scraggly blonde hair. The little girl is kind of on the scaffolding above and kind of peering over, eavesdropping clearly on your conversation. As you fix eyes with her, she just simply says, "They mostly come at night. Mostly." And then the head kind of pulls itself back over the wood, and you hear the scampering of footsteps further along the scaffold.
Newt. Newt.
She looked like
I'll,
a girl.
I'll
that
look
day.
at everyone else and be like, did anyone else see that?
Did we?
No?
See what?
In it up.
Can I tune in?
To who, Havel?
Yeah.
Yep, and the screaming continues.
Huh. Okay. Interesting. I'll share the image of the girl around to everyone.
None of you have seen this girl before. The face bears no significance to you.
Okay.
Right, so let's not travel at night on this water.
Maybe we just shouldn't travel at all.
Yeah, that's also a good idea.
I mean, we're not at all in any way prepared for fighting a Kraken.
Does anyone want to go and speak to the child?
Yeah, we could do. She up in the scaffolding, did you say?
Yeah, she was above Havel.
Is there an easy way to get up into that scaffolding?
So it seems that there's a series of ladders interspersed at various places, but the scaffold kind of runs in a bit of a horseshoe around this cathedral, so you can kind of get onto it at one side and then kind of walk the whole way around. It appears that there's about 4 levels of this.
Could I go up the ladder closest to where Havel kind of heard her travelling in the direction of?
So you climb this ladder, Triss, and come out on the first level, and you can see that there's a kind of a whole array of sleeping mats and a few blankets, various personal possessions. Some of them are occupied. You can see there are a few families who are kind of gathered around eating some of this soup. They all kind of give you strange glances as you make your way around. You see no sign of a girl.
Okay. Can I travel up another level?
Yep. So the level above seems to play host to what appears to be a kind of tavern of sorts. People are sat around drinking what, from the smell of it, is clearly quite potent moonshine. That distillery down in the kind of main cathedral is pumping out. You got a few people who are already fast asleep, but a few more are just playing cards, just passing the evening, really.
And still no girl?
Still no girl.
Did you say there's another level? Another 2 levels?
Another 2 levels, yep.
Up again.
So up top you can see this is again another living space area. It seems that quite a lot of people are sleeping in this church. You never really did talk to the priest about how many of the city's residents actually survived the Great Wave. But it seems that a lot of the displaced people have taken up residence here. Again, you see people who are clearly done with their day's work and starting to settle in for the night. You push your way past, but again, just can't find any sign of this girl.
And I'm going to try the top level.
You poke your head up and you see a whole load of crates. There's clearly a lot of stuff stored up here. You kind of look through and it seems to be largely religious in nature. Perhaps the possessions of the cathedral before they all had to be, moved to make room for the new influx of residents. Plenty of nooks and crannies to hide in. It'd take you hours to give it a proper search.
I'm just gonna quietly call out hello.
You don't get any response. The noises of the cathedral are, really quite loud. Easy to lose a simple hello.
Did you say they only come out at night, mostly? A little bit louder this time.
Again, nothing back, just the boxes.
Okay. I'm gonna head back down.
Okay, so Triss, you rejoin everybody who are a little bit confused, but yeah, you have no results finding her.
Oh.
As you guys are sat, the merchant comes back. But with him, you can see is a another chap. He's fairly, well, it's not old as such, but clearly a bit past his prime. You're probably looking at late 40s. But you can see he's quite a serious fellow. He's kind of got quite a stark expression on his face. You can see a scar running just down his right cheek. You also notice that he's wearing armor and has a short sword strapped to his waist. Yes, this is Vem. He kind of waves to you. Right then, I hope you've done poking fun at the loonies. This is my bodyguard here. He's a reliable chap, name of Harold, but he'll show you where my boat is. The man steps forward and kind of nods in your direction. Then you see something click in his eyes. Wait a minute. I've heard of you. Wait, you're the party that helped save my nephew. Yes, that's it. Just as he described them. He kind of rushes forward and starts shaking hands.
Who?
Your
Yeah.
nephew?
Oh, he was a foot soldier. He was with Johann Purston. He tells me that it was you who got medical supplies through to them when nobody else could.
To the south of Eventide, yes.
Yes, he's told me a great deal of your escapades. Well, thank you. Thank you. Without your help, he would have surely died of his wounds.
Well, certainly glad that he made it out of there and he's doing well.
Yes, he's a good lad. Eye for trouble though. He'll do well. Anyway, the old boss over there tells me that you need to get out to the ship.
Yeah. To recover a strong box. Now, he did mention that you've hired other hands previously, and none of them have made it back. Well, not altogether, anyway.
He's hired thieves and cutthroats, more like. I don't know what he's been telling you. He kind of looks at his boss. who starts to protest, but is one kind of sideways look, kind of closes his mouth before it really opens. You sense that in this kind of employee-employer relationship, the merchant clearly is a little bit intimidated, even though he's the one paying the salary. Yes, he's told me about his endeavours to secure some of the more choice assets from some of the flooded properties. And you ask my opinion, the chap's comrades, they stitched him up. They probably knocked him out and fled with the goods.
Right. Well, if that's what you think, then why send us after the strongbox if it's likely already been stolen?
Oh, the strongbox? No, well, that's a little further out, you see. You'd have to sail into deeper waters. Not something that any old cutthroat's going to be willing to do.
Right, I see. Well, it's well, we're going to need to get out there. Do we have some kind of transport?
There are a few smaller launches we could commandeer, I'm sure, for a reasonable price.
Okay. And what about harpoons?
Well, we probably have a few. He kind of looks around. There'll probably be some in the armory, but I think that's long since flooded by now. That was one of the worst areas hit.
Right. I'd rather be prepared. Do you understand?
I mean, I suppose, but
The armory was one of the worst places hit by the tsunami.
it's right down on the dock front. You see, that's where the city guards did their customs checks.
I see. Sorry, it just kind of rang out to me for a second there. I was like, tsunami intentional? Sabotage?
Tsunami attacked the guardhouse?
Yeah. No, the tsunami people are very, very cross.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to make that pun. That would degrade me as a human.
Please.
No.
Come on.
Okay, why would they want any weapons? They've already got a Soon army, didn't you?
I love it. Yes.
Retconning that out of existence and
Yep.
moving swiftly on.
Don't worry, it's
Can-
still on the recording if you miss it.
The armory is kind of located down by the port. Harold tells you, and yeah, this was obviously going to be right before front of the impact, and being lower down, even when the tide is low, it's still fairly substantially underwater at this stage.
Well, might have to go without them.
I mean, there are divers in the city, I suppose, but I'm not sure what state the armory is even in under all that water.
We might be better just taking our chances. It could take a long time to find someone willing to go and have a search, and that's provided that there's anything worth searching for.
Okay. Well, Triss, Torek, do you have anything you could prepare that might protect us out on the water?
Kind of. Triss is gonna open up her book, and there's gonna be a new page in there, and it's like lots of like leaves and plants and stuff, kind of decorating the edges of it. It looks quite different to the rest of the stuff in the book. She's gonna pass you a writing instrument and ask you to write your name down in that book on the page.
Why?
just in case something goes wrong. It's not especially helpful right now, but it's a just in case. Actually, if all of you could do it, it would be handy.
Okay. I'll, write my name.
Do you mind if I use my pen?
Mm. Isn't there something funny about that pen?
I
No.
think it's something funny with pretty much everything Tarek owns.
It's just linked up to my extremely funny exosuit.
It's
Go
not.
ahead.
It's not ink. It's just like used motor oil or something.
It's constantly leaking. He just uses it to write with.
For fuck's sake.
We all writing in Triss's book.
Yep.
I missed the conversation, but sure.
You just
Okay.
sold your
Worst that could
soul
happen.
to Antigoth.
Yep.
Okay.
So after not checking the small print, no. So you all sign Triss's fucking scrapbook and pass her back her pen.
And the book as well, please.
Just like
book.
what you do in sixth form, where everyone signs your book. Good luck in the future. Best
Yeah,
wishes.
Triss just turns
Yeah.
around and walks out.
No, wish
We'll
we got
sign his shirts.
Yeah.
Triss, like looking back at it in like 5 years' time, like who the fuck are these people? Just
Name sort of rings a bell.
Oh, didn't
So,
that guy die in a weird explosion of alchemical ingredients?
cool. Yeah, Triss, you recollect your stationery from everybody. Get a few quizzical glances, but people do it regardless.
Perfect.
Um,
Perfect.
The slightly confused Harold kind of watches on. Well, if we want to go to the ship, she's out a reasonable way off the harbour. She was anchored a little bit out to sea when the wave struck, and it seems that she's since ran aground on a reef. If we want to stand any real chance of getting to her, we'll probably have to go when the tide is low. That would be our best bet.
And that would be when? Sorry.
He kind of looks at his, kind of his merchant friend / employer. Boss. Oh, tides. Yes. Low tides. Well, it's getting on for evening now. Probably going to be looking at around 6 o'clock in the morning. Low tide.
Okay. First thing. We can be ready to go. Certainly.
Perhaps if we took a long rest, I could change up a few things here and there. Have it so I can prepare those breathing apparatuses once more.
Yeah, we can find a tavern to stay for the night, maybe.
Thank you. Sorry. Everything I do takes time. Technology takes time and love. It's not like you pointing at Tris.
You are the opposite of science.
You are the antithetical point of science.
Yeah, an abomination.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. Thank you. Glad you know it's Torek.
But yes, it'll take me a while to rig up some breathers for us all.
and can all have a drink and bite to eat and relax for the night.
Yeah, well, there's that fairly potent moonshine going around, so
Yeah, yes, there is.
wouldn't set you back too much to get a good helping of that.
I take a
Um,
bottle back for Titus when we next see him.
So yeah, you guys kind of order in a bottle of that to share. It kind of comes in one of those kind of ceramic jugs with like a wicker around the bottom of it. So Ruland comes back, and there must be about a litre of this stuff. And it just burns like fire when you drink it. There's no taste to it, it just hurts. But yeah, you guys, once you're willing to partake, get a bit of a buzz off of that really, really quickly. It's not for the faint of heart, for sure. But you settle in for the night. The priest lays out a series of kind of mats for you to crash on. Harold, who's kind of stood around drinking with you, kind of sits himself down and starts to just snore where he sits. Like he falls asleep just ridiculously fast. Braxton, you spot that as being a trait of an ex-military man. The ability to kind of grab a quick wink whenever you can is a very useful skill when you're campaigning.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you guys just have a fairly relaxed night in the company of what appears to be half the township.
So, are we prepared for what might happen tomorrow?
Just putting on the last detail.
Well, if what that little girl said is correct, then something might happen tonight.
Yeah.
So, forewarned by Havel's premonition and kind of goaded on by the moonshine, the paranoia starts kicking a little bit, and as the townsfolk start to sleep, you guys drift off a little bit, having a bit of a fitful rest, but nothing seems to really happen. But you do notice there appear to be sentries posted, looking out of some of these stained glass windows. Whether that's a formal thing or people are just uneasy and it gives them some peace of mind, you don't know. But people are definitely watching the streets.
I might, instead of bedding down, I'm gonna have a wander around some of these windows then and keep an eye out.
Uh-huh. So, Rulen, you climb the scaffolding. You can see that a lot of these shutters have kind of opening sections to them. So you slide one of these back and cast your eyes out the hole where the stained glass should be. You find yourself looking down towards the open ocean, and with the moonlight reflecting off of the kind of the still waters flooding the city. You can see now that the tide is in. The water is actually kind of lapping up, almost to this cathedral itself. Still a little way off, just due to the raised nature of it. But even some of the properties you walked past earlier in the day are now submerged up to like their very kind of top walls. Any evidence of the port is clearly quite a long way underwater at this point. It's an eerie sight to behold, really. just knowing that the area in front of you was up until reasonably recently just a bustling area full of life, but now with the advancing tides, the sea has claimed it for its own. But putting that thought aside, you do keep a watchful eye on the waves, and with so much to really scour, you can't really focus on any one place for any particular length of time without neglecting the rest. So you scan your eyes back and forwards, and you don't really see much activity at all, really, just the gentle lapping of water against stone.
I'll keep it up until I can give myself at least 4 hours sleep before dawn.
So you kind of keep on keeping on, really. Troll around a little bit. You can see actually that somebody has kind of taken the time to drag or in some other way transport a ballista to one of these towers. You don't know whether the other one had one as well, due to it being a collapsed mess, but it seems that somebody has kind of fortified this location, really. Whether that's due to just paranoia, due to there now being no city walls, or a lower manpower in the guard, you don't really know. But someone has taken the time to spruce this place up a little.
It's not going to be the priest. Seeing as he believes everything's fine and there's nothing to worry about. Somebody knows something. Okay. Is there any of the guards around? Like, does it look like there's a sergeant at arms or anything like that?
No, it's a fairly ragtag bunch, really. None of them are seemingly uniformed in any way. None of them appear to even be armed. Just a kind of mismatch of people, just occasionally, kind of switching posts and having a glance out.
I'll just ask one of them, who's in charge of the defences around here? Who's in charge of the guard?
There's not really much of a guard to speak of. Most of them got hit in the first wave. We take it in turns to keep a lookout for any problems creeping up on us in the night. But to be honest, Governor, I can't really say why we do it. Just somebody mentioned it might be a good idea one day, and it just kind of stuck.
So, no one's in command, really?
Not really. Old Smithy had some experience in the Navy, but he long since retired. He's a merchant captain now.
And the ballista up in the tower, you keep that manned?
Well, it was really peace of mind more than anything. It was on one of the merchant vessels that was ruined in the wave. Still in good nick, so we dragged it up here. Only place I can really put it nowadays. Shame to let it go to waste.
Sure. So you know,
it keeps some of the folk a little easier knowing we've got it up there.
So you're
It's a
not.
nightmare convincing the priest to let us put it up, though.
I can imagine. But you're not expecting anything, really. No creatures coming crawling out of the waves.
Well, you never be too sure of the sea, can you? It's the beauty of it, really. Just every day's a new day. But we haven't had any cause for concern since. That first day, so can't see it happening anytime soon either.
Okay. I've not seen that girl that Havel mentioned pottering around up in the rafters while I've been up there, have I?
No, you're actually starting to doubt whether Havel's just seeing things.
Something's fishy going on.
Yeah.
She's like that. Okay.
Naturally.
I'll keep up my little watch then until I get some shut eye.
Okay, so the rest of you are in your moonshine-induced sleep, but the cathedral wakes quite early. The noise starts to kind of creep up as more and more people wait, and when you guys wake up, you can already smell something is cooking in the cauldron. There's a kind of it is probably not soup by Torik's definition of it, but there is something warm and filling cooking in that cauldron, and already a crowd of people is kind of assembled with kind of bowls or other eating utensils. Start to get that dished out to them. Harold kind of is already up. He's actually got himself into his armor. Surprisingly, he doesn't seem to be too afflicted by a hangover from last night's moonshine. He's quite well. He seems to be in a good mood. All right then, you lot. Tide's just about right for us. We all fed and watered.
Yeah. I think so. Torik, is there anything else you needed to prepare before we left?
I think so. I've got the breathing apparatus ready. Just need to finish chewing this stuff.
The less
Oh,
we
you've
ask about that, the better.
You've got some breathing stuff? Oh. He's kind of a little confused at that.
Yes, it's an invention of mine. You see this, and I hold out like it looks like just like a snorkel mouthpiece, really. And I'm
Right.
just going to be like, it sucks in water through this way and magically sucks the oxygen out of the water so you can breathe.
You just get like a kind of a slow nod. Right, okay. Oh, well, that's a pity. I'd managed to find some divers who'd got a bit of kit that might have helped us dig that armor out, but it seems that we don't need them anymore. Anyway, let's go. I'm sure we want to be done with this.
Off we go.
So you guys follow Harold out of the cathedral, and now that the tides have receded again, people are starting to like go out and reset up stalls and tables, getting ready for the day ahead. Harold kind of pulls aside one of these merchants and produces a small kind of handful of coins, which exchange hands. And as you guys kind of finish emptying this guy's cargo from this small little boat onto his stands, he kind of nods and gives you guys permission to charter his little launch for the day. So at first, you guys kind of really just pull this along. The water isn't very deep. It's about a foot high. So wading is really the optimal way of transiting the city for now. Obviously, Torek, this poses a bit more of a challenge for you than it does the others. As you go a little further towards the coast, you actually decide to just sit in the boat because it's starting to get a little hard to kind of wade as the water starts to kind of rise up to your chest. But yeah, before too long, the rest of you have to embark as well, as the water levels are starting to get a little tricky to navigate on foot. So as you start to row downwards, you can see on the buildings, the stone walls that have survived, what appears to be a high tide mark. Most of them are, big multi-story buildings, probably 2-3 floors. And as you go further down towards where the port used to be, you can see that this high tide mark is clearly, easily on the second or a second and a half floor, that kind of level. So the water clearly has come in quite a long way than when the city was previously, uninundated. Right. Well, we're getting close to the port now. Did you want to go and have a look for that armory, or do you want to just head straight to the ship?
Could be worthwhile having,
Especially
some
Torek's got
ranged weaponry.
Yeah, rebreathers sorted.
We'd like to avoid ending up in the water if possible, but if something comes at us from the water, we should be able to fend it off, keep it from taking us down.
Indeed.
As soon as we end up in the water, that's when we're in trouble.
Well, I have countermeasures in place in case that happens, and yes, hopefully it doesn't come to that.
I like to imagine Torek's countermeasures are his little propeller hat just to take him away from danger.
So I am safe.
Did the rest of you not prepare your countermeasures?
Just face down Havel in the water. Havel, where's your countermeasure?
So it turns out Torek was a scout. Always be prepared.
Apple, stop drinking it. Salt water's bad for you. You've been at it for 4 minutes now.
Oh, that's beyond the revivify cut-off point.
Okay, so yeah, you kind of take a little bit of a detour and about 90 degrees along. At this point, you're really relying on Harold's knowledge of the city before it flooded, because the buildings now are fairly hard to distinguish between any of them. Although, actually, as you do kind of go a little further along, as you look down beneath the waves, you actually start to see a transition from stone to wood. It appears you're running pretty much parallel now to where the dock, or the waterfront at least, was. After a few minutes of rowing, Howard kind of brings you alongside a wall of fairly thick stone and kind of just braces the boat alongside it. Well, I hope your kit works, because what we're looking for is a few floors down.
Yeah, speaking of which, I should probably divvy those up now. Who wants water breathers? It won't interfere with your ability to breathe in air.
Okay. Yes, please.
Yes. Okay.
Cool. I distribute them out to the first 10 people to put up their hands.
Are there not less than 10 of us?
I
Yeah,
Just
like
brought
thinking
some
that-
peasants along for the sake
Yeah,
of
or
These
it.
small
people
details.
would be willing to search. with
These small
us.
details don't matter to Torek.
just like and Havel and Triss and little girl. Little girl just looks up and she's gone.
One for you, voice in my head number 2. One for you, voice number 3. Okay, so yeah, you distribute these Torek. Harold kind of refuses really to take one. He's just clearly doesn't trust it at all. He makes a wishy-washy excuse about somebody needing to stay with the boat. Make sure it doesn't drift off because you'll need it to get to the ship.
Blub blub.
But yeah, the rebreathers are fairly compact. To be fair to Torek, they're pretty well built. Although a few of you do kind of take a moment to look at this and really wonder whether you're trusting your life into the hands of this psychotic gnome
Again.
again. But like most things with this party, after a while you just decide it's best not to think about it. After a few kind of experimental cursory breaths, it's it's going to take a bit of getting used to. It's obviously a new sensation, but you can breathe well enough with it. Torek even demonstrates by kind of sticking his head underwater for a few minutes and bringing it out again. So satisfying that as an example. You're all fairly confident. As far as you can be, anyway, with Torek's kit. So yeah, the building, looking down from your perch above it, you can see that this was clearly once quite a fortified location. The walls are thick, and as a result are mostly intact compared to some of its neighbours. However, it seems the roof has long since caved in and taken a floor or two with it. But the rest is kind of hidden by the dark depths. You reckon it's probably about, it must be about 30 feet of water below you.
So,
Okay. Let's go.
everyone?
Never split the party.
Okay. Rebreather in.
Maybe
Okay.
split the party. Looking down at the water.
They mostly come at night.
Mostly.
Mostly.
So who's taking the plunge?
Yeah, I will.
I'll go in.
Okay.
I'll light up my spear as well, so we've got plenty of illumination.
Ooh, that's kind of cool.
Okay, so Rulin, you dive in, followed quickly by Triss, and start kind of swimming towards the bottom. Kind of spear held in front of you, and the kind of a light from it kind of spears out into the murky waters.
Spears out.
The kind of rays revealing fairly extensive damage towards the bottom. It seems that the kind of debris from this smashed roof and a few floors have come to settle on what was clearly the ground floor. As you kind of kick around, you can see that there appears to be a kind of a locked door of sorts. The frame is largely obscured by rubble. However, the placement of it suggests that it leads down to potentially a basement level.
Okay.
But yeah, it's going to need to be cleared before you could open it.
What will it take to clear it? By hand? Or?
So some of the debris is small enough that you could move it by hand. Some of it is significantly larger. You can see there's a fairly sizable roof beam has collapsed kind of across it.
I haven't really brought anything explosive this time. Sorry to be a downer.
We do have Eldritch Blast. I'm assuming we're communicating telepathically. Can we speak with these rebreathers on, or no?
Well, you can't talk underwater usually. This one lets you breathe underwater, but it says nothing about talking.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Actually-
not going to let you talk. It's if it's a
It's,
mouthpiece, you're not going to be able to talk.
I will flip through and we can telepathically communicate using Triss as your go-between.
Okay, so you two reach the bottom and start clearing away some of the smaller bits and pieces, but this kind of large piece of debris still remains an issue.
How clear above it does it look? Like, what's the surrounding area looking like?
So you're kind of now within the four walls of this building. Above you is largely collapsed, so it's pretty clear open water above you.
Okay.
I didn't think about this as well, but no, okay, I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I don't want to be a rules lawyer. But spellcasting underwater is always a funny one.
Fair point. Because if I can't speak...
Yeah.
Shit.
How heavy do you reckon this piece of debris is?
The roof beam, a couple of tons maybe.
Oh, that's quite heavy. And the buoyancy probably isn't going to help an object that big.
Yeah, Eldritch Blast is partially vulnerable.
I could try and levy it out the way with my suit.
Or we go back up to the surface and I could dimension door onto the other side of that with someone to the area where we think it is.
I mean, we could try levering it away. We don't necessarily have to lift it away if we just get some leverage on it and just pull it out. It's like push.
Yeah.
Got a crowbar and some rope we could tie around and just try and, do it the smart way.
Set up like a pulley above it and then like try and
just get some leverage on it. Just get a few people behind the rope and just pull it out.
If something is dead, you bury it.
How about we do that, and I'll try and lift it up with my armor suit from below. I think if I pull on the rope, it might snap.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to set up a rope to it. Now, is the rope being handed to people in the boat? Are you going to pull it underwater? How is that going to work?
And we could pull it underwater if we can, just get your, plant your feet on a flat surface somewhere and pull.
That would work, yeah.
And I'll get up close with the crowbar and give it some leverage, maybe.
Right. Okay. So you guys get in position and kind of just try to heave this out of the way. However, even with your exoskeleton suit, Torek, this thing doesn't really move very much at all. It's clearly quite wedged in place.
For honor's sake, I will still use an armor charge. Darn. I guess the only way through is to destroy it.
Or
But how?
magic our way onto the other side, but then we don't know what it looks like on the other side, or what sort of state the room's in.
Maybe acid might do the trick in breaking it down at a molecular level. This beam is wood, so organic. Perhaps I can.
Would acid work beneath
It'd
the
be
water?
pretty diluted through the water, right?
Oh yeah, I know. Maybe if I made some kind of putty. Acid putty.
Maybe you could just make like an oxyacetylene torch or something, you know.
Yeah.
What is it they use underwater? Like magnesium.
Magnesium welding, stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh,
To be fair, I am a little worried about using a lot of my spells underwater. I'm like, shocking grasp, no.
Any form of explosives? No. Yeah.
Yeah, I've selected a lot of my kit to be kind of like water use safe at the moment, and sadly that's been like removal of explosives and whatnot.
Okay, so what's the plan now?
Okay.
Damage door? Anybody?
Hey, this armory. Did it have any cannons?
It did not.
Darn. I hate it when reality gets in the way of my fun.
I mean, they're not, widely available.
I have a feeling that there's something that one of us has that is just like
The perfect solution.
thing, yeah. Just looking through my inventory, like ceramic mask. No.
I know. And look through my spells. It's like zone of truth. Maybe not.
anyone just got a saw? Just do it the old-fashioned way. We'll just cut it into chunks and.
I mean, my primary weapon is a spinning blade, but I don't know if it'll be any good at this task. Rules-wise, it's a dagger.
Yeah.
That crossbow I mentioned earlier. Absolutely fucking useless here.
The upside to all this is that our breathers are going to last for 24 hours.
Okay, that's good. We might need all 24 of ourselves.
Havel, have you got an animal that could pull it away?
I don't know. I think the largest thing I can summon is large animals.
Well, large is pretty large.
Like an orca.
Yeah, but I don't know. Large animals that easily lift 2 tons.
Side point, orcas are bastards and they deserve to be extinct.
Where? How exactly does this beam fit across? Like in what sort of orientation is it?
I guess if I draw a room out, that might be easier than trying to explain it.
I'm trying to think of a more physics-based way of getting
right,
it out.
okay. So, size of the
actual real world
building.
intelligence. Jeez, that's never going to catch on.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Hatch. Beam.
So that's the hatch there.
That's the hatch underneath, and it's kind of got that roof beam lying across it.
It's just like flat across the, floor, I guess.
Yeah, nearest makes no difference. It's got a few degrees of tilt in, but enough to block it from being opened or readily accessed.
Okay. And there's nothing else in this, is there?
It's all kind of roof debris.
Okay.
So you've moved most of the bigger stones and stuff that were obstructing your access.
And then it's just like a straight drop off the side. So the sides of this does it just go down?
No, these are the walls. So like they come up, and then the rest of it's got like there's the street around it.
Right. Okay.
You're on the ground floor, as it were.
So there's no way it's okay. Is there anything on the top of the walls?
Well, you've got the kind of the sides of the floor above that have remained, like a few feet perhaps on each floor that hasn't collapsed. The actual tops of the walls are actually above the waterline, kind of the very top of the building.
Maybe. Get this. We tie one end of the rope around one end of the beam. We tie the other end of the rope around some of the wall up above. Then if we can collapse the wall so it falls that way, it will lift the beam up and off the hatch.
Like that thinking. And I've just thought I have a spell that could help us with such a plan.
Well, if we're above the waterline, Triskadel just blast the fuck out of the wall.
Yep.
And then, Torek, whatever you've got in mind, we can try and do.
Well, I was thinking we could save ourselves the rope. I've got 10 slots of web ready to go.
Okay, Spider-Man.
I was thinking it'd be hilarious if I was attacked by some kind of aquatic creature. I'd have like a squid-like defense.
Squids use web.
Yeah, somebody needs to tell Torek about ink.
It's the closest I had.
How do you have grease?
With the spiders of the sea. It's the same thing. 8 legs, yes. Oh, God.
Marine biology wasn't my strongest subject.
I mean, maybe you could use web to reinforce the rope to make it a bit stronger to withstand.
Yeah, that would work, yeah. I like the thought of dropping something heavy and using the gravity-like inertia to pull the beam out the way. I was just thinking if I just use a ton of web to attach whatever heavy object we use and the beam, then we're Gucci.
Yeah. Even if we don't lift the beam all the way out, if we just move it far enough so that it's not blocking the hatch anymore,
we basically just need to tilt at least one of those sides.
Yeah.
I wonder whether I could blast it from... How far below the water level is the beam?
30 feet, roughly.
Oh, okay. We could just get me up onto the surface and I could just try blasting it from the surface of the water. Do a bit of a blast.
That's just more water to get. Yeah, whatever.
Well, we'll try that first, I guess. If it works, it works and saves us bothering with the rope.
Okay, so Triss, you can come up and take up position.
Sort of this corner, I think, and I'm gonna
okay
to move this bit a bit further into the room.
Yep. So you take aim and fire, and you watch as this green bolt kind of hits the water. There's an almighty kind of sizzling sound, but this kind of green energy seems to carry on a little bit, although somewhat slowed. Really, it's a really fascinating thing to watch, actually. The energy kind of slows down to almost a crawl, but kind of still snakes its way down through the water, and then you watch as it actually impacts the floor past the beam. You have failed to take account for refraction with your first shot. You adjust your aim and try again.
Can I put my hands as far underneath the water as they'll go with my mouth still above the water?
Yeah. So you try that again. This time you get a solid hit on the beam. And whilst it doesn't seem to move the thing much, you can see that it is kind of blowing chunks off of it. This must look really strange for everybody else in the boat. Just Triss with her arms in, just like screaming at the sea, and then kind of bolts of energy shooting down.
Maybe I'm better just blasting it over the hatch.
Access.
So, anyways, I started blasting.
And we could just try and blast. If it's taking chunks out, we'll just burrow our way through.
Okay, so Triss, you shift your aim rather than trying to pivot the thing just towards the patch directly over the grate and start firing away. The rest of you kind of keep your eyes open and watch for anything, but Triss is able to go about her work undisturbed. And after about 10 minutes of this, the beam finally snaps in two.
Okay.
Okay. Someone else.
Magic
wants to-
wins again. Now, question is, are the two halves of the beam light enough for us to move out of the way? Yeah.
Well, there's enough of a gap that you can access the hatch.
Okay. Radio.
Okay.
Drop on in and give the hatch a leave.
Yep. So you kind of dive in and start swimming down. You can't help but feel that the water is making your skin tingle a little bit now, but not enough to be uncomfortable, painful. But you descend and have a good look at this hatch. It appears that yes, it is clearly a fortified door and has been locked in place. Horrick, roll me an investigation.
It's here. Ooh, yeah. You're right. Okay. Ooh, that's a spicy roll, 24.
Okay, so you kind of get your lockpicking tool out, only to realise that apparently 2 months of saltwater exposure has not done any kind things to the inner mechanisms of this lock. It's actually to the point where you just kind of give it a sound knock with your gauntlet and it just kind of crumbles. The rust has eaten the bolt away.
Just like the thought of like Torek just smacking the bolt, it cracks open and he's like, "Oh, I'm Titus, look at me," in his head.
Also, the fact that he spends 10 minutes lining all of his tools out, takes one look at it and just goes, "Oh," just like smacks it.
Yeah, it takes another 2 minutes to roll up the mat again.
Knowing full well that now he's going to have to meticulously clean and oil each one of those tools later as well, just to stop the corrosion.
I know, right?
But he'll find great pleasure in doing that.
So the lock kind of again the bolt has been eaten away to such a degree that a swift sharp jolt kind of snaps what's left, and you're able to kind of pull the hatch up. It comes up easily. Clearly, the room underneath was flooded some time ago. So, Rulin, you kind of stick this spear into the inky darkness and lead the way in. As you look around, you can see that this was clearly where the city guards stored their weapons. And looking around, you can see various racks of various bits of equipment. So there are, as it happens, a few harpoons in one corner. There are a variety of other bits and pieces too. You've got short swords, various bits of armor, a few shields. It seems that only the harpoons really are looking particularly good. The swords with untreated steel, not used to or not designed to be used anywhere near salt water, have started to rust away. Same for a lot of the plate armor. But the harpoons seem to be in good enough nick, and there's probably, you would reckon, about 40 of them. You also notice that there is a door further down into the corridor's inky blackness.
A door indeed. I'll stash some of the harpoons in my bag of holding. Reasonably, how many of them could I get?
Right, where are you stashing them?
How many could I get in like my bag of holding? Say, just to be reasonable.
Well, considering that if you open a bag of holding underwater, you're going to take in a lot of water.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, if we transport some of them up to the surface into the boat, then I guess.
Caroline.
Yeah. So I mean, you'd be able to kind of swim backwards and forwards.
Yeah, we'll do that. Just grab a few handfuls and take them upstairs.
Cool. So you grab about a dozen harpoons.
Upstairs. How do you refer to going up a level?
Yeah, to the surface.
Up surface? No.
Yeah, so you kind of start shuttling a few of these harpoons back up to the boat and stashing them away.
And then, of course, we're going to have to go back and have a look at that door in the inky blackness. When you say inky blackness as well, do you mean actual inky?
No,
it's
just because it's underwater.
It means webby blackness.
Webby blackness. Yeah. The webby blackness.
Only because his dad was the milkman, Richard. There's no need to be rude.
Webby.
The door is again a fairly solid construction. However, after another inspection, Torek, it's just the same thing. The salt water has just eaten away this lock. So you're able to kind of push it back fairly easily, really. And inside clearly is an office of sorts. There's a kind of desk in there, but what immediately catches your eye is a display case made of glass. The glass has kind of got a bit frosty, and you can see that there's a bit of scratching from things being perhaps washed against it. But inside, you can see a very old-looking set of armor and what appears to be a greatsword, but of a very peculiar design. Being single-edged and having what appears to be a kind of a tentacled pattern running along the spine of the blade.
Ooh.
It's like an appendage. You're not sure whether it's an ornamentation or a fossil.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I get a closer look and I'm gonna just like like a kid at an aquarium, just like putting his face right up against the display to get a closer look. Just like, my goodness.
Roll me an investigation then.
Sure. Not on that one.
Roll me an investigation for the armor and arcana for the blade. So the armor, that one you don't get much information about.
Yep. And for what was the other one for? Sorry,
An Arcana for the blade.
Arcana is +9, I think. So 27.
You've heard rumors about
Yeah.
this weapon. Deep in the academy's kind of skunk works, as it were, which you had access to when you were a professor. There were people who specialized in, trying to accumulate the old legends from various lore, legends, myths, and other kind of, historical documentation of such powerful artifacts. This appears to be one of them. So you are looking at what is commonly referred to as the Leviathan blade. Nobody's really quite sure where it was forged, but rumor has it was once wielded by the founder of Landfon, a chap by the name of Ahab van der Decken.
Ahab. Count Ahab.
Someone knows his literature. With it, he was rumoured to have bent the sea to his will, thus rendering the city vastly ahead of its competitors under his stewardship. Nobody really knew how he did it or where he got the blade from, though.
Yes, my thoughts was it was some kind of artifact-based warlockery. Oh,
Looks guilty.
this is a wonderful artifact. Gonna signal to Triss to set up a mind link with me.
I'll tune in.
We need to get this display case out right now.
Okay. Can we... Shit, it's in a display case. We probably don't want to get any of this wet, do we?
Well, it is a legendary weapon with tentacles on it. Better not risk it anyway. Yeah. Seems that the water hasn't treated the other weapons quite so well. Magical weapons will probably be more resistant, but you never know.
I'm gonna tune into sort of everyone else and just say Torek wants us to get this out of here. Unsure about it getting wet. Does anyone have any ideas?
You're asking us?
Yes. I'm in your head. Ask any questions.
I mean, how big is the display case thingy?
It's pretty sizable. This is a big weapon. So the one, I suppose, really, it's fair to say they're actually two separate cases: one for the armor, one for the display, for the sword. So the sword one is about 5 foot long, about 1.5 feet wide, and then probably about 1/2 foot deep. Whereas the armor,
whole case out, just between a couple of us, just carry.
I mean, neither of them are particularly heavy-looking display cases.
Between a few of us, we might manage to get them out in one piece. With your assistance, Torek, from your armor?
Naturally.
Okay, so Tarek, you kind of brace the armor to take most of the weight. And as it comes up, it actually comes up quite quickly. It seems the air within is doing a great deal to aid in the buoyancy. As such, you're actually able to maneuver these things fairly easily. It's more the fact they're just fairly unwieldy to kind of get back through the door, but taking time and a good deal of caution, you manage to maneuver it up out of this hatch and then back up to the waiting waiting launch.
Fabulous.
Okay. Is that everything then? We don't need to go back down for anything else?
I
Yes.
don't think so. Yeah, I think we're good. Can anyone think of anything else down there that they wanted to get?
Wait, both displays are up.
Yeah, they're been secured.
Excellent. Torek will stay around them for now and just be like talking to anyone who will listen about them.
Now it's fairly crowded in this little launch. Now you've got all the harpoons and these 2 display cases with everybody. It's starting to get a little bit low in the water.
It might be worthwhile someone just using those, the armor and the weapons right now.
Well, now that they're out of the water, I could stow them in the bag of holding.
Or that, yeah.
They belong in a museum.
Sure, they
Are
won't
we
mind
really-
us
are we-
borrowing them.
Realistically, Tarek, are we going to give these to a museum or are we going to use them ourselves or sell them?
Sheepishly looks down. Your head. How far I have strayed from my archaeological oath.
I just imagine it as Torek being like one of those really unscrupulous Egyptologists who just go dig up a tomb and just sell it to tourists, kind of thing.
Oh, dude, have you seen the photos of like just people on the streets selling mummies?
I used to
That's
use them as
wild.
fuel wood, like alternatives, just like burning them because they were that common at the first point.
That's absolutely wild.
Mm.
Jeez. I mean, fossil fuel, I guess.
In the
Smoke
making,
make
yeah.
people ill as well.
Oh, probably, yeah. As well as extremely cursed.
Yeah, well, yeah.
What's a fire without a little bit of a curse coming along with it?
Braxton, is a great sword any good to you?
Potentially. I'm quite fond of my Sunforger, I won't lie, but I could give it a try and see how it handles.
I mean, you tend to throw the Sunforger quite a lot, so maybe it would be good to have a backup.
True.
And this might
Could
be good for
identify them.
Well,
Yeah,
Torek
that's what I was
speaks of the sword be having some kind of power, so yeah, maybe
It occurs
it's
to me
capable of
that
something special.
a smite with a legendary weapon that's said to control the seas might yield exciting results.
Now you're speaking my language.
Can I cast Identify on both the sword and also the armor?
Okay, so the sword, to expand on what Torek's already found out about it. So it's a +3 greatsword. However, it's despite its size and kind of thickness, it handles remarkably easily. So easy, in fact, that proficiency with greatswords is not required to wield it.
Oh.
Also, once per long rest, the wielder may cast Wall of Water.
Oh, that's cool.
Now that is bitchin'.
And
Very nice.
the armor is the armor of a wave walker. Kind of does what it says on the tin. So the wearer basically gains the ability to walk on water, not dependent upon movement. You could stand still if you wanted. Also, is just a kind of a +3 studded armor.
Yep, that's pretty cool as well.
Yes, as Torek has alluded to, these are, very sought after relics.
No
Well, I don't think you can use that.
The armor, it's just studded armor.
I thought you said it was plate, Crispin.
No, sorry, studded armor.
Oh, okay. I thought you said before that it was plate.
No, there's a lot of other plate armor down there. That's just for generic stuff that's rusting.
Gotcha.
That the guards would wear. Plate armor with the ability to walk on water would be hilarious, though.
Yeah, yeah. True.
Slow and Gumberson, but on the water.
Well, my armor is already pretty good given that I've got the adamantine studded stuff, so someone really should take that who's in need of some armor upgrades.
I haven't had an armor upgrade in a very long time. Considering all I would do is wear a robe at the moment.
So what does studded leather do? So it's got an AC of 12, so that'd be an AC of 15 plus your dex. Holy shit. Jesus Christ, you'd have an AC of 20.
To be fair, you've got an AC of 21. How the fuck do you have an AC of 21?
You've got the
Fucking-
braces, haven't you?
Well, the braces only give me a +2, but yeah, it's the monk's natural kind of
Unarmored defense,
abilities.
isn't it? Yeah.
Unarmored defense, yeah.
Damn.
In fact, I think actually Triss is kind of being left behind a little bit with only 17 AC because her tattoo doesn't work if she's wearing armor.
To be fair, warlocks in this game are the glass cannons.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much it. She's not a frontliner, so it kind of makes
Maybe.
sense.
Theoretically, at least.
Until she starts trying to rugby tackle people off ravines, yeah.
And Warlock's not got access to like shield and mage armor.
We were discussing this. There's
I don't
mage
think
armor,
so,
but
no.
I'm pretty sure mage armor, you've got to be unarmored for it to take effect.
Yeah.
And,
when warlocks have so few spell slots anyway,
Yep, don't really
to
want to be.
sacrifice.
Yeah, shield is sorcerer, wizard, hexblade, artillerist, battlesmith. Yeah. Damn.
Wait, so, you know the armor Triss has got on at the moment?
Yeah.
Is it just kind of like, to put it simply, unisex? It's not like shaped for her, is it?
No, you'd be able to wear it with a few adjustments, perhaps.
What's your AC at the
Roll.
moment, Jace?
Mine's 18, but
Oh, okay.
Oh, your tits are probably about the same size, aren't they?
so what's this? AC 14 plus 2 AC negates crit.
All those beer
You've got
calories got to
written.
go somewhere.
So yeah, to be fair, if Triss got that one, she'd go up to 20. Now Triss is like up to 19. Anyway.
Oh, just keep in mind as well, if anyone uses this equipment, you might get someone might notice it, or
Well, no,
identify
I
it.
mean, no,
That's
Triss
not-
would only go up to 18, wouldn't she?
Oh,
Yeah, Triss is already wearing +2.
oh yeah,
yeah.
I see. Yeah,
Studded
never
armor.
mind.
Yeah, so it'd give me a little bit of a boost, and it'll give you a boost as well.
Triss is, at the minute, nullifies crits, which is kind of its big thing.
Yeah. That's the adamantine, isn't it? What you really need, Triss, is a plus to your dex.
Probably yes.
Yeah.
But then again, I do think the kind of clumsiness necessarily forbids that.
Holy shit. I've just realised, like, on your next like ability score increase, you could get 3 20s on your abilities.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That first set of rolls I did were like just phenomenal. I got so lucky.
What the fuck? Jealous. I think you wouldn't be far off getting a fucking another one. Anyway. Not jealous, not jealous.
No. Alright, okay, so is that what we're doing then?
No, that's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, if you're happy with that, Jace.
I mean, I'd benefit more, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. Whatever.
So what's that? Jason, you're going to take the studded, like, adamantine armor from Triss, and she'll get the new stuff.
Yeah, because I'll still get a +2.
Yeah, but you'll then nullify
and
crits.
Triss
Yeah.
will still get an extra one as well. So to go up to 18, I'll go up to 20 anyway.
Crispy, you're right to send me a description of that armor as well, just so I've got it written.
Yeah,
down.
sure.
Thank you.
So Havel goes up to 20. And Triss goes up to 80. Cool. So you toss the display cases back into the sea. Their purpose having now been served. The sword is really quite something, though, and you can see that Harold is kind of looking at that quite intently, kind of studying it, and you can see just like a look of almost awe on his face, which is fair because it's a very unusual weapon. Even you lot having seen quite a few good weapons, this one definitely stands out. But he doesn't say anything.
Okay. He's very grateful, I imagine.
Why are you giving it to him?
What?
Oh, he said he's grateful.
What were we talking about? Am I confused?
You're confusing me.
Harold was looking at the weapon.
Oh, I thought.
Oh, not yeah, no,
Okay.
not Havel.
I thought you were about Havel. Harold, similar. Yeah. Who's gonna? Well, Braxton's realistically the only one who can use it.
Maybe. The problem is I have to drop my shield, which is like 4 of my AC.
Remember, you don't need proficiency with greatsword to wield this one, due to its uncanny ability.
Greatsword's two-handed though, and
It is
not,
two-handed.
yeah,
It's the yeah.
which is why I'll have to drop my shield.
Oh yeah.
It'll be a good Titus weapon.
I mean, you'd
Maybe
have to
I'll try
drop
it.
your shield to attack with it, but you could carry it one-handed and still get the ability to run across water.
No, that's the armor. That's the water. The
wall of
water.
water. Or something.
Wall of water is the sword. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Never mind. Oh, not quite. Yeah. All right.
I'll carry it on my person anyway.
Well, I can stuff it in the bag of holding if you don't want to. But yeah, carry it, whatever. It's not going to. Weirdly enough, it's not going to be much use in the water to be able to cast wall of water. I guess.
Yeah.
And they would make like an underwater current. Like, I don't know. Because I always imagined it was like an upside down waterfall, right? Like just gushing water upwards, catching all the arrows. Because if you've got an inch wall of water that's just stationary, the arrows are just going to go through it, aren't they?
Okay.
That's how I imagined it. Wait.
Well, it's a foot thick. Yeah. Wall of water, 30 feet long, 10 feet high, 1 foot thick. You might just catch an arrow with a foot of thickness. Oh, any ranged weapon attack that enters the wall space has disadvantage. So, okay. So you can still shoot arrows through it. Just at disadvantage. Anyway. Continuing on, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crispy giggling out there. The cool.
Into bag of holding.
No. Paxton's keeping hold of it. He's keeping hold of it.
Hold on. Did you say you don't need proficiency in greatswords to use
You
it?
don't need
Correct.
proficiency in greatswords to
So
use it.
literally any of us could be using that.
Yeah.
It's still a two-handed weapon, though.
Okay.
So you can't cast magic while you're
No.
wielding it.
Unless Torek would say
I
actually
put
it's already
the
magic.
ruby of the war mage in it.
It's already magic.
Damn it! Wait, does Ruby of the War Mage have to be a non-magical item?
Don't most of your infusions have to be on non-magical items?
Or does it overwrite the previous magic, maybe?
Ruby of the War Mage is not an infusion. It is a independent magical item.
In which case, then, you can probably slap that on that bad boy, if you so chose.
What have you got it in currently? Is it in Homie or something?
It's in my the blade
your
on my
glove.
arm. Yeah.
Your arm thingy, whatever.
Yeah.
Boomer blade?
Yeah, the boomer blade. I had it on there so I could have a shield in the other arm.
Yeah.
And the shield is just a really fastly spinning boomer blade. Just- yeah, as long as it's a simple or martial weapon.
It is a martial weapon.
It is definitely a martial weapon.
Triss wielding a... I mean, its attacks are still based on strength, I assume.
Yeah, the modifier.
So, yeah, you're not going to do a lot of damage with it.
Yeah,
but you'll be able to cast Wall of Water.
Yeah, that's true. Havel, would it not be useful for you?
Yeah, I mostly just shoot people with arrows, so, you know.
Just
Get
in case
only
you
a
wanted
plus
other
2
options than arrows.
I do have returning iridium daggers and short swords as well.
Oh, right, okay.
Going back to Crispy's meme.
I think it'd be pretty good in Triss's hands. I mean,
Okay,
it's
I'll
just
take
it's
it.
just an upgrade.
Yeah, it's better than the dagger that I use if all situations come.
I mean, it's a
desperate.
+3 as well, so it's gonna do something.
Crispy, would you send me the description for that as well, then?
Yep, sure. So,
Weirdest warlock setup ever.
Battle Lock.
Fucking Ahab's sort of like marine mastery. But it's just like, I don't want it.
Literally, like one of the two greatest swords in this setting. The other being like the legendary sword of Parfunir himself.
Should have been a trident. I would have been all over that shit.
I bet when you were thinking of introducing these two items, you never thought they'd both go to the warlock.
Yeah, wasn't originally what I thought would happen. But
Now, do you have to wear the full set of armor to get the benefit, or could someone like borrow the shoes, like run across water?
yeah, it has to be the whole set.
Oh.
So I just send them this description across to Pascal. Right. Okay. So you guys kind of hand over these two priceless artifacts to Triss.
For better or worse.
Who begins with a very challenging task of trying to change armor whilst on a very small boat, which is now rocking. Just trying to get into this armor. You lot don't really bat an eye. Harold kind of looks away out of decency. But yeah, Triss, it's a bit stiff at first. You can tell that this armor has clearly been on display for a very long time. The weapon, however, feels very light on your back.
Nice.
Given its large size.
I'm gonna just do a bit of like wriggling around and like squatting and like arm extending and stuff, trying to loosen it up. Try not to smack anyone in the face as I'm doing that as well.
Yep. So after a while, you sit back down. Well, it seems that it was a good haul.
Yeah. For some of us.
Well, anyway, we've Wasted a bit of time. Now we should probably head back towards the ship, or else the tide will start to turn on us.
Yep, let's go then.
So you guys start to row back out into the kind of the bay area. Quite quickly, if you see the kind of depths below you start to get even deeper, you kind of sail past the wooden jetties, and soon you can't see the bottom anymore. There are, however, clearly indicators that all is not clear up ahead. You can see broken masts sticking out of the water in places. Others, you can actually see, an upended bow or stern of a ship. Clearly, some of the larger vessels met their end out here. And a little way out to sea, you can work out that there's a vessel a little higher out the water than the others, and in comparatively, complete shape. And you can see that there's a lot of kind of white water around it. It must clearly be the reef that the merchant was telling you about. As you draw nearer to it, you start to see coral underneath the hull of your little launch. Harold kind of slows down to only a few knots, taking great care not to run you into any of these kind of razor sharp reefs. But after about a few minutes of careful seamanship, he pulls you up alongside the vessel. You can see that there is a fairly large hole in the starboard side of the hull. Water is kind of freely gushing in and out as the waves hit against it, but the hot coral that it's propped up on seems to be keeping it afloat. Or, well, not really afloat, more aground. But the rest of the ship's also in a reasonably beat up shape. Clearly not going to be able to sail again, but there's enough intact wood that Turok, you reckon you'd probably be able to salvage a fair amount of it. Definitely enough to repair the LaSalle.
Fantastic. We've got it.
So as you draw closer, Howard again kind of ties up the launch to the hull, kind of securing it so that it's not going to drift away. He gives Havel kind of a leg up onto the main deck, who in turn starts to help the rest of you up. And yeah, you can see that this vessel is in a much better shape than some of its counterparts on the harbour bottom. The deck is largely intact. The masts are snapped, but towards the top, so there's a fairly good chunk of mast still sticking up right into the sky. However, you can kind of hear the lapping of waves in the hold below.
So it doesn't sound like we'll be able to sail it out.
That's a shame. It would be handy to have been able to just take that off, but oh well.
Damn, I got rid of fabricate. That would have been so handy.
Okay, so now you're all on board. What's the order of business?
Did we say the lockbox was on this ship or further out?
Was this ship? This is the merchant's vessel.
Yeah.
So we need to go down below.
Somewhere in the hold, I assume.
Which means we have to go deeper.
So
Do you
it's
think
not
we
it's not a particularly large vessel. From the looks of it, it's literally a merchant's clipper. You reckon, there's not going to be many decks.
I reckon maybe we should take the boat to shore quickly, drop off our stuff, and then come back. Because,
Well, we're only after the lockbox.
Oh, what if we find something really nice down there? It's the hold.
Well, what if we don't? Then we've wasted a trip with the boat.
Fine.
I can stuff some things in the bag of holding.
I bet you a silver we find something really heavy and really cool.
Well, then Chris can run it back to shore for us.
True.
I like that.
That's-
Just the idea of running maybe 200 yards just close enough to dimension door the rest of the way.
Or if it's really heavy, I'll get one end of it, Tris gets the other end, and we'll both run back to shore. Mind you, I'd have to run fast enough that Tris wouldn't be able to keep up.
That might be the challenge. You're
Unless
fast
Tris
enough.
knows haste.
Yeah,
I
true.
don't think I do.
That's a couple of that plan. Cool. So yeah, the ship isn't huge. It's not going to be a large hold to explore.
Okay. We'll light up the spear and head below decks.
Okay, so the first deck down is clearly the kind of a mess deck where sailors would have kind of lived, slept, and worked. You don't really need the light. You've got enough flooding in through where the kind of gangways are, and then the various holes in the side of the vessel. But there's nothing really much to see on this deck, so you continue down into the bilge, where you can see that the kind of the main hold itself is kind of towards the middle of the ship. The bow and stern have a slightly raised platform, but this kind of hold itself has been largely inundated with seawater. You can see that there are various broken crates littering the ship with all sorts of goods spewing out. Most of them by now long since ruined by the salt water. However, you can see that there is a strong box in kind of one of the nooks towards the stern. It certainly looks the part, kind of in line with what the merchant describes. The only discrepancy being this is open.
That doesn't bode well.
Is it open and empty, or was anything left behind?
So as you get closer to Braxton, you realise that it is open but not empty. You can see the kind of the majority of this box was taken up by straw or other padding of sorts. And you can see in kind of the right-hand side of the strong box, there lies what appears to be a kind of a white spherical object about the size of a skull. However, on closer inspection, it doesn't appear to be, as it's largely kind of spherical. However, you can see that it's damaged. There's clearly a chunk missing of this, and cracks running around the rest of it. You see, though, that there's an indentation in the other side of the lockbox, which is kind of empty.
the same size as the other orb?
Judging by the indentation, you would assume so, yes.
So an orb has been pried out of this thing.
Twist, you got any idea what?
Well, not prized so much lifted, it's straw, it's not like held in, it's just padded, essentially. But anyway, carry on.
What were you asking, Rulon?
Do you know what this strange orb is?
Could I cast Identify on it?
You wouldn't need to, you've seen one before. You are looking at a cracked and damaged Kraken egg.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought the Kraken egg was a lot bigger than that.
The one you saw was.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Is Harold here with us down below?
Yeah, he's kind of come down with you into the water.
Harold, do you know what you were transporting?
No, I don't ask those kind of questions. I'm just there to make sure nothing happens with regards to pirates.
Pirates are probably the least of our concerns right now.
Why? What's the matter? He can kind of sense just from the stony expressions of the rest of you that something's not quite right here.
You see that little white orb right there?
Aye.
You ever heard of a kraken, Harold?
Well, of course, every sailor's heard of them, but every sailor knows they're just a drunk story.
Nope. Because that right there is an egg. A kraken egg.
He kind of looks at it, and it's clearly the shell is very egg-like to look at, and the size is obviously bigger than what you would expect anything he would probably know to lay. Well, I don't really like the look of it, whatever it is.
Where did your master obtain this strongbox from?
Damned if I know. But we sailed from the Empire.
Wasn't after a trip to Weirden by any chance, was it?
I can't say. I stayed with the ship.
And whereabouts were you docked?
We were docked in Ponteg.
Right. Can I inspect the chest? Like the handle, the clasp, or whatever. Specifically, I want to see if there's any scales left behind.
Roll an investigation.
17.
Okay, so you take a look, and you can see that the clasps and all that have clearly been subjected to some sort of attempts to open them with force. The metal is kind of scratched and scoured as if something sharp had kind of dug into it. And actually, as you kind of look at the box and kind of work your way around it, you kind of almost go over on your ankle. But as you look down, you see that you've stood on what appears to be a broken off arm of a trident.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh.
This is bad.
Now, obviously, it's hard to say exactly when that was broken off, but the fact that the tide hasn't taken it yet suggests it might have been recent.
Well, within the last 2 months, at the very most. So perhaps we know why this tsunami came when it did, while this ship was at port. Maybe they were looking for something.
I would say yes. I would say they're still looking for something.
Well, they have one of those somethings. They obviously knew what they were looking for. They knew the broken one was worthless, so they took the one that I assume was still in one piece. Perhaps the merchant had more. I'll turn to Harold again, actually. Did your master make it off the ship with anything? Did he have more of these strong boxes? Was there anything else precious that he managed to get away?
Well, we didn't have much time to get off the ship, but he did grab something, a sack of sorts. I didn't see what he put in it.
Okay. He could have grabbed one of these while the other one was broken. Maybe he didn't know it was broken. And then the creatures came looking for it, opened it, and found one missing and one broken. And that's why they're still coming to the town. Either they have it or they don't have it. It would make sense that they don't have it because that's why they're still around.
Or they're just taking revenge.
All that.
And it wouldn't be that surprising, probably.
I would lean more towards they're still looking for the egg. I mean, if they had the egg, they could just, well, I imagine they could probably just wipe out this entire settlement, but perhaps they don't want to risk damaging it. It may be the last one that they have.
Could I examine the egg that we have? Examine to see how far along it was from hatching.
Well, given its small size, Torek, you reckon it probably wasn't as developed as the first one you encountered, but not knowing much about Kraken physiology, you wouldn't really be able to say for sure.
Knew I should have paid attention to marine biology.
Yes, and your Kraken studies. Mythological
Kraken
beasts.
101.
Mythological beasts and their gestation periods.
And where to find them.
Well, the last time, Torek, you can't call mythical beasts whatever you want.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can have a look around for anything else salvageable. We do need to get some of this wood out of here somehow. I mean, we could probably tie some lengths of timber to the boat with rope and tow them back to shore, maybe. That would work, Crispy, wouldn't it? What the wood would float.
Yeah, wood would
Easily.
it would float.
Putting it on the boat probably wouldn't be a good idea because we were already nearly sinking with the.
Well, not on the boat, but if we just tie it to the back with
Yeah,
rope.
that's what I
Dra-
mean.
drag it through.
It's a good idea because we can't put weight on the boat, but we
Well,
can
Tris-
pull it behind.
Tris and I can run back to shore, probably. To save the weight.
Ratio.
Yeah, well, that's still what we need to do anyway. We need to get that timber. Fuck knows how we're going to get it across land. Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh. Just keep dimension dooring our way across every couple of days. So, take us about 6 months to get there, but we'll manage. Or like, actually, while we're down below deck, the damage to the hull. How bad can we tell it is? Like,
Very bad. You're looking at a
Okay.
15 feet by 5 feet gash as this coral has just shredded the side of a hole. Only thing keeping this thing off the bottom is the fact there's a reef blurt.
and there were no like merchant ships at all still docked around, were there? Like no larger ships that would be able to carry some timber for us.
No, they've long since left. There's nowhere for them to dock anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we could drag the timber out. Maybe we could make our way over to Nurna, get a boat from there, and pick up the timber on the way back, possibly.
Maybe.
What do you
Yeah.
all think? Because, you know, we can cut up, we can potentially, you know, with a lot of work, get some lengths of. Well, how much wood do we need? 'Cause, like, I assume we got like a proper kind of measurements and lengths and everything from the captain of the. What's it called? The Luce.
Yeah, so
What's it called? The Lucia.
Villicel.
Cell. That's it.
So yeah, the length of wood you need, you're probably going to need about five lengths of about 6 foot long and about at least 1 foot wide, just so that the carpenter can then cut it down to whatever size he needs. But Lascelles' damage wasn't too severe.
It's just the wood that we need to fix up the holes.
Yeah, you've already managed to kind of replace the mast with that crane boom. So,
but still, though, I mean, like, I guess it would be pushing the limits of the bag of holding if I was to try and stuff them in there.
well, the opening's about 30 centimeters, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you're right. Well,
so it'd be a very, very tight fit, but potentially, I suppose you could. But
I mean, we still need to still need to strip the wood from this ship and get it, I guess. How should we go about doing that then? Sorry, Tris, bright ideas.
Let me see if I can cast Water Walk on a non-human entity.
Not what I was thinking might help with the ship. You're going to cast water walking on the ship.
Fuck. Well, here's my thoughts. Water Walk actually does something that not a lot of people know about. If you're underwater, it makes you shoot up at a speed of 60 feet per round.
I mean, you're not underwater at this point.
Oh shit! I thought we were. My bad.
No, this is all above water. It's kind of propped up on a reef.
I see. So it's like a beach ship.
Yeah, it's run aground on this.
Well, either way, we'll have to be careful because if we muck up the dismantle process, then who knows how well the reef below can take it.
It's a reef. I mean, it's probably quite sturdy.
I guess the weight of the ship, if it's dismantled in the wrong way, could shift.
Oh yeah, true. Well, I mean, we don't need to take the wood from the bottom. We can take it from the top. Yeah.
Oh yes, where the moment of force would be greatest upon it. Great idea. Yes.
Well, I mean, other than that, do you want to try and take wood from the bottom? I mean, have you ever played Jenga before? Do you know?
Yeah. Yeah. What you do is you flick out one of the bottom ones really quick.
Yeah.
Shit. Damn, I really wish I had fabricate prepared. I can't believe I unprepared it.
Do we like that?
Wait a minute. Oh no, I unprepared create construct. Fabricate's a different spell. I do have Okay,
What does
I can
fabricate do?
fabricate. Fabricate allows you to convert raw materials into products of the same material. For example, you could fabricate a wooden bridge from a clump of trees, a rope from a patch of hemp, clothes from flax or wool. Choose raw material you can see within range. You can fabricate a large or smaller object within a 10-foot cube. Given sufficient quantity of raw material, if you're working with metal, stone, or other mineral substance, however, no larger than medium. Sorry, it was just laying out some rules for the area reduces if it's like hard material, which this isn't.
Depends if
And
it's
the quantity of objects made by the spell is equivalent to the raw materials targeted.
So you could take a length of aged timber that was, say, 60 feet long, and you could convert that into, 10 lengths of 6 feet or something like that, however much we needed.
I could take a large bit of wood and make a large size rowing boat out of this aged timber. And then we could sail it away.
Okay.
How large is large?
Dude, Titus. Titus was large.
Titus
wasn't
is
he?
big, but I think we'd all struggle to get into
No,
a Titus
literally,
size
I'm
boat.
literally talking D&D size categories. Like, Titus
Okay.
was large.
Was he? Oh, yeah. I thought he was still medium, Titus.
Yeah, because isn't large?
Yeah, he's a
too, that's
medium. He's a medium. Because otherwise,
Yeah,
large is like 20. No, it's not. It's 10 by 10, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of huge.
He's just a big medium,
Yeah.
Huge.
Extra
So-
medium.
It actually
Extra
takes
medium.
up the same amount of space canonically as a halfling.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
The-
I guess
Okay,
that's
but
to
so
make
then
a
large is
uniformity
large
between
is larger than Titus. Large is larger.
Large is larger than Titus, yes.
Large is larger than Titus.
It's a 10 by 10 foot cube.
So you could make a boat out of that.
I
You
could
could
make
then convert more material into the lengths of wood that we need to bring back to the Lacelle.
essentially the best way to use a spell would be if we could get a 10 by 10 foot cube of pure aged wood. I could use all that material to make a boat.
I love
Or
how
we
we
can-
get a cube from 2 dimensions.
I mean, we could sail said boat
Yes.
back down to the Lacelle, and then they could strip that boat for the materials to repair the Lacelle.
No one mentions the said axis crisp.
Okay. I mean, that could work.
I mean, unless anyone's got anything more creative I could design them to make.
You watching the Da Vinci Code?
No. No, I'm trying to disable the.
No, I heard Tom Hanks in the background. I thought you were watching it.
It's actually Angels and Demons.
Okay, it's the sequel.
I'd say I think Captain Phillips would be most appropriate for you fucking lot.
I was thinking Forrest Gump.
Somewhere between those two, and you're just about right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, shit.
When Crispy said that, the first thing that popped into my head was, look at me, I am the Kraken now.
Oh dear.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, so Tarek, how long would you need to make this?
10 minutes.
Okay. I mean, we still have a situation to deal with here. I wouldn't really want to take to the ocean until we know that we're kind of clear. Not to the open ocean, at least. If you know what I mean. I think we should still deal with this potential egg issue.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, it's a great plan. I think it could work quite well for us. It's an easy way to transport the wood back down if the wood that we're transporting is the boat that we're riding on.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I don't think we're going to get those 10 minutes.
That's
Harold-
the kind of thing someone says before a fight.
Harold kind of points out of the hole in the ship's hull. You follow his fingers, and in the distance, about probably 100 yards away, you see just above the waterline a pair of kind of deep blue eyes sunken into a light blue skull with a red finned plume. However, as it sees you kind of turn towards it, it very quickly disappears below the waves.
I think we should get above deck.
Yep, let's move up.
Okay, so you guys make your way back onto the main deck. By now, the tide is kind of starting to come back in again, and the water's getting a little more choppy. But your launch has stayed attached. The rope has held. You kind of tentatively keep your eyes scanning the sea, but you see no signs of any presence.
Well, I mean, it could be right beneath us for all we know.
Ugh, I knew I should have prepared a spell of sea invisibility.
Well, I don't think they're invisible, Tarek.
I can't see him now, can I?
I think he's just under the water, Tarek.
How do you know?
What of them, aren't you?
So-called Tris.
Maybe there's another way that we could handle this. Clearly, these creatures want one of two things. They want the egg back, or they want revenge on the person who stole and broke the other one. Now, maybe they don't remember us as being, around during the initial incident. Maybe all they care about is this current egg. So if we got the egg and gave it back to them, maybe we could strike a bargain to leave us alone.
Wait, we brought the egg with us?
No. The
Ah,
missing egg, the one that I highly suspect the merchant has.
I see.
That's why he sent us back here, because he wanted the other one, but maybe he didn't realize it got broken during the storm.
Well, I'd rather fight a merchant than a kraken.
We don't need to fight anyone. We can negotiate.
Oh yes, that's gonna go down soon. Oh, please, can I have that kraken? Oh yeah, sure, mate. Here you go.
Well, Tarek, it's either that or we spend the rest of our lives avoiding the ocean in fear that one day the Kraken will come and eat us.
I see this is an absolute win.
Yes. Yeah. But for now, we still need to get back to shore in one piece. I want to
So,
try something potentially risky. Will the rest of you back me up?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, I'm here with you.
Okay. I'm gonna shout out into the open. Are you there? We'd like to talk to you about your egg.
Rulen, the voice carries a little way, but against a rising wind and the sea, it's hard to know if anybody will have heard you.
We
You,
could get the egg and give it back to you.
Maybe I could fabricate some speakers for you to shout into.
The sea is again kind of becoming a bit more frothy, but if that creature is still there, they're showing no signs of responding to you.
Telepathy?
Well, do we not need to be able to see it?
Yeah, I need to see them.
Whereas if they can just hear me, they should be able to understand me. I can manipulate key energy so that they should be able to understand everything I say. It's something.
Do I know that Krakens are intelligent?
It's never been proven. People tend not to live long enough to study them.
Also, these guys aren't Kraken, are they? They're just watchers or keepers or nannies,
Oh,
right?
Still quite sophisticated though. They had entire locking mechanisms on that tower. Remember that there was like a hand lock that fit their hands perfectly.
I would say these guys definitely intelligent, unsure about the Kraken.
Maybe it's to them the Kraken's some kind of deity, perhaps. Maybe it doesn't deal with them directly. They're just worshippers and.
Maybe they're all warlocks.
Well, it's obvious that there's a certain lack of communication here. Maybe I could try something. It's a long shot, but better than no shot, I guess. And my idea is to splash the surface of the water in
Here, fishy, 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 fishy. Here, fishy, fishy. It's like I'm picturing
anyone home? I was thinking of splashing it in the rhythm of Morse code and spell out parlay.
Yes, these lizard people took a course in Morse code when they were at university.
Also, I just like the idea of, a steadily more violent sea, and Torix thinking that his splash is going to do anything when there's just waves crashing against the reef.
I was just thinking, how it's not echolocation if it's underwater.
Like sonar?
I don't think you're going to be able to move your hand fast enough to make a sonar ping first.
I'm not like a literal sonar. I'm not a fucking Maybe I can make a submarine.
Oh God. If anyone can, it's Doric.
Torix solution. I know he said we wouldn't travel on the sea anymore. We never mentioned about under it.
It's the last thing they'd expect.
Oh God.
Closer to danger, further you are from harm, something like
That's
that.
the one.
No. Torek doesn't want to die a 10 foot by 10 foot by 10 foot space underwater. That sounds horrible.
Under the right kind of pressure.
Literally one of the first
foot.
Confederate submarines, which is literally just a barrel and periscope.
Oh God.
Oh dear.
Trail through Roman cell leads to the Church of the Illumination, the place where the Illuminati. If I can find
that piece of trident that was by the box. I want to go back and get it.
Okay, so you pick it up and pocket it.
Does it look particularly ornamental, or is it more like function over fashion?
It seems to be function mostly. You notice it's stone though, not metal.
Oh, okay. Stone.
Of some sort. Not really something you're familiar with.
Okay. Well, I'll pocket that for now. And okay, head back up. So, are we just going to try and make a break for it back to the shore?
Running worked last time.
You know what
I
might
mean,
actually be
or
a
we
good
can
idea?
try and hold out while Torek makes his little boat.
It's kind of that idea. So, Rulon, why don't we take the broken bit of egg and head back towards shore, and Torek try and make his little boat?
And what's that gonna do?
I assume those fishy people are going to be more bothered about us with the broken egg than they will be about Torek doing his boat thing. Maybe.
Okay. So you're saying we may have interrupted the creature while it was here? Like maybe it still wants the broken egg?
Possibly.
How broken was the broken egg? Like,
Well, all the contents have long since seeped into the straw, but it's definitely not a viable egg anymore.
no.
And it definitely, and you said it was early in its development stage. It didn't hatch.
Earlier than the last lot, it definitely hadn't hatched.
Okay.
Okay, so we can take the broken egg. Maybe we can trick them into thinking it's a whole egg, but I don't know if I want to piss these creatures off any more than they already are.
Yeah.
And I think the two of us running across the surface would, we'd be in pretty dire straits if they managed to intercept us.
Okay. What is a better option then?
Well, like I said, either we can hold out here long enough for Torek to build his little ship, or we go back to shore, risk being attacked, and also still not have the timber that we need for the other cell.
Right. Torek, get building. We'll hold out. We need that timber.
Storm doesn't get any worse.
Funny you should say that. So the sky is definitely darkening at a rate that you suspect might not be entirely natural. The wind is starting to kind of whip the spray up into, a fairly furious foam. Triss, interestingly enough, you notice your armor seems to become less stiff now that the salt water is kind of working its way into the leather.
Oh, nice.
However, that doesn't really come at the best time. It's not at the forefront of your mind. You're busy keeping an eye out over the sea, with an increasing number of kind of wave crests to scan, spotting any sign of a head sticking above the water is increasingly difficult as time goes by.
Is this reminiscent of the storm the last time we had an incident with a broken kraken egg?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it is.
Shit.
You could see that Harold has kind of grabbed himself a harpoon out of the boat and is kind of standing at the bow of the ship, eyes peeled and just kind of scanning the horizon for any sign of impending danger. Thoric, you are kind of feeling the pressure a little bit here as you start to set about your task of creating this boat. It wouldn't have been an easy task at the best of times, but it's becoming a little more high stakes now.
Have you read?
Oh, Lord.
Assisting me is just like I deploy like a load of little drones that are just like cutting the wood and like assembling them in unison. I'm more like just trying to pilot them into building this thing.
Hmm. It's it's a slow task, but bit by bit it does start to come together. The rest of you, again, just trying to keep an eye on this kind of roiling sea. It's hard to tell. Sometimes you think you spot something, but on closer inspection, there's nothing there. It's very, very stressful. You're all quite on edge. And the sky is darkening with every minute that passes. And with it, the tide goes up just a few inches at a time, but every wave seems to be higher against the ship's hull.
The belly button eye.
Hmm.
Does that have true sight? Did you say?
It does.
How would that cope with the weather and stuff that's going on?
Weather wouldn't bother the eye.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure people are sat behind me, and I'm gonna eyeball in the direction where we saw that face.
Okay, so Triss, you kind of look towards it, and the water is a really kind of almost translucent kind of haze with this true sight. But you see various things swimming in the ocean: fish, sea creatures like that, a few eels. Nothing that is of a humanoid size, at least as far as you can see.
Can I just do a like 360 kind of round the edge, so I'm not blasting anyone, but get a good look around all of us?
Okay, so you start to scan the perimeter again. You look a little bit inwards. Looking towards the shore, you see, all the wrecks on the bottom, but no creatures.
Okay. They've disappeared. They've completely gone. For now.
Okay. Let's hope they're not clearing out to make room for something else.
Mhm.
So,
Tarek,
you
how much longer?
you wrap things up just as Triss kind of finishes her little perimeter sweep.
All right, I think it's done. Let's hope the glue has dried.
Glue? So what are we looking at here?
Go on then, Tarek, do you want to describe it?
It is a just to make the most of the space, it's gonna be like a primarily like square-ish looking boat. Kind of like those two-bodied canoe things that
Catamaran
Maori
things.
use.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, right, I'm with you. Yeah.
So for added stability, yeah.
With like
outrigger.
Yeah, and like a platform for people to stand on in the center, strutted between two main bodies of this thing. I think that would have been like the most improv 2 kind of design to go for, considering the specification.
So not quite as large as that, but that sort of style, without the sails, I guess.
Yeah, kind of like that kind of. Hopefully, its width will give it some stability and prevent capsize.
Well, it bobs into the water and doesn't immediately sink, so that's promising.
However, after 3 seconds, the glue it didn't dry.
No, it's seaworthy.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going, we better get going soon.
Right. Okay. So you embark into Torah exploration and kind of tie the other kind of launch with all the harpoons in it behind and start paddling. Now the tide's a bit high. You don't have to worry as much for hitting corals as they're a bit further beneath the hull. So you're free to just paddle like maniacs, which you have a reasonable incentive to do. And as such, you manage to return towards the relative shelter of the buildings after about 15 minutes of paddling. But by now, the tide is starting to come in, so the buildings seem to be a bit smaller, and the kind of first larger waves are starting to crash against these stone walls. But you slow down a little bit to try and navigate Toric's creation down the street. It's a bit of a tight fit, more so than the single hull of the launch was. But given that you're kind of sailing down the streets, kind of leading towards the cathedral, these are the wider ones in the city, so it is possible to do. By now, it seems that most of the citizens have started packing up with the kind of the onset of what looks to be a particularly bad storm. You see people kind of close to the cathedral who are just busy hauling up small boats full of cargo onto the kind of the stone steps and calling for people to help them unload. So as you put this ship, ship's probably a bit of a grand name for it. As you put Toric's little catamaran up alongside the others, you're one of many people trying to disembark their cargo and get it towards dry land.
Any idea where we're going to stop this thing?
No. Is there anywhere we can run it?
Run it aground.
You can see that quite a few of the locals are kind of tying it up alongside what appears to be a series of kind of iron rungs that have been hastily kind of driven into the side of a building nearby. There are a few berths spare by the looks of it.
Okay. Let's do that.
Now's the time for your rope.
Yes. I'll make a little lasso. Do I roll for not tying skills?
No, I'm gonna say that that's a fairly simple thing to do to tie up this ship.
Okay.
Ship. Again, I use that term very lightly.
All right. Yep.
But yeah, you tie it up alongside, grab the harpoons, and make your way kind of up the ramps towards this kind of main door.
Sweet. That was less problematic than I thought it might be.
Yeah.
Now where's this fucking merchant?
So you make your way in. The kind of noise again is pretty significant. You can tell there's like, yeah, the atmosphere is very different to the way it was last night. People are clearly a bit concerned about this this unexpected storm. But you push your way through and kind of find this this Oscar Merrimack sat down, kind of already tucking into his evening soup. But as he kind of sees you coming, he puts the soup bowl down and, with great effort, brings himself to his feet. Ah, you're back. Have you got it?
Gonna quite firmly grab him by the elbow. In the same way that, like, your mum and dad do when you're a kid and you've pissed them off somehow. I'm gonna drag him off towards a quiet corner of the room.
He kind of doesn't really know how to react as you do this, and kind of you lead him along, and he's pretty much just limp and just follows.
Where's the egg?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Insight?
Yep.
My fucking god. Second roll of the fucking day, and it's a fucking... Oh, he must be telling the truth. Oh well. Next line of thought.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
Yeah. Right, guys, I think we're done here. Let's pack up and go home. Shit. Okay. How does that go then?
You gain no additional information.
It's a good little... Come on, just be honest with us. We opened that chest, we saw what's inside, and we know what was inside that chest.
Well, he again kind of flicks his eyes left and right. But by God, keep your voice down, man. I don't want people to know that kind of thing's floating around here. But anyway, it's not in my possession anymore.
How? Where is it?
I don't know. I lost it in a game of cards the other night.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ. Do you understand why this storm is here? This isn't a natural phenomena. The Kraken knows you have its eggs. It's sent this storm and its creatures to retrieve it.
Wait, what? Do you know anything about the Kraken?
Oh,
Wait, what do you
Oh,
think
he
you were
didn't know.
transporting?
I was told these are mammoth eggs.
Auric sighs so heavily.
Where did you obtain these eggs?
I got them from a market in the Ilafari Empire.
Who sold you?
Oh, I don't know. It was an exotic-looking chap from up north.
Did he have a name?
I didn't really care to ask. He had some interesting products, though, I can tell you that.
bet he fucking did.
How the hell does someone accidentally come across a Kraken egg?
It's an extra level.
Thinking that it's a mammoth egg. Where were you
Mammoth-
taking
mammals!
these?
Yeah.
Well, where were you planning on taking these eggs? What on earth would you do with that kind of thing?
I don't know. I just thought it might fetch a price as an interesting curios or trinket. These noble sorts, you never know what they're after next week or next month, whatever's in fashion.
Well, my friend, you have unknowingly brought ruin to this entire town.
Don't be so melodramatic. I don't think a mammoth's going to be too upset about one little egg.
Mammoth, you moron. It's a Kraken.
Who's the person you lost the card game to? Is he here?
Probably. I I suppose so. Probably in the tavern. He was a sailor.
Name?
Was it Adrian or Adrian? I can't remember. I was quite drunk.
Which tavern?
The one upstairs. It's tavern's a bit grand, really, but
Okay. You wait here and see if we can retrieve your mammoth egg.
if you do, there'll be a bonus in it for you.
You're not getting it. I'm just going to walk away from it. Okay.
You
upstairs
okay?
to
So
the
you
tavern.
you climb the makeshift ladder up to the even more makeshift tavern, where you can see that quite a few people who just look like sailors have already congregated and started the evening's round of entertainment. You can see that a deck of cards is being distributed amongst a few players already.
Right, how are we going to go about this?
Don't have time for this. Let's just call his name.
That looks a bit suspicious. We don't want to spook him.
Vicious! This
Don't
place is
worry.
about to go 30 feet underwater! You're worried about being sus!
Let's sit down and ask if someone's willing to sell a mammoth egg. And we will just buy it off him. Don't need to cause any strife, and someone gets to make some money.
So you sit down at the table, kind of get yourself dealt in, kind of play a few hands to kind of break the ice a little bit with some of these people. And then kind of as things are starting to get a little more kind of in the swing of things, the topic is broached about potentially selling a mammoth egg to you. It seems that there was talk of somebody winning a strange egg the other night. But he's not currently at this table, but hang around a bit. He's surely likely to come in.
Where does he normally hang around when he's not here?
Well, they'll probably be down running the distillery.
Looks
That's
like that's probably a good place to check.
Maybe we'll just meet him there then.
okay. So you make your way down to the where these kind of big copper stills have been set up, and you see two kind of very out of place looking halflings, each with a mane of ginger hair, kind of going about pouring in various ingredients. Pass me the mash there, Hadrian. Have you even put the water in, Adrian, you dumb prick? They're
There's our man.
clearly
Well, one of them is.
arguing quite profusely about how to make this moonshine. But as you approach, it's fairly obvious you're after something. A group of 5 adventurers and all that. The fuck are you looking at?
I thought you were meant to be jolly.
I was jollier when I had my fucking boat.
What happened to your boat?
The other one kind of pops his head up. Adrian, who are these fuckers?
You two?
Wait, one of them's Adrian and one of them's Hadrian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh shit.
That initial exchange was them arguing between Adrian and Hadrian.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not just some schizophrenic halfling. Although that would be a fantastic NPC, I must say.
Well, maybe we can help you get back on your feet. You have an item we'd like to purchase. A mammoth egg, of all things.
Oh, that fucking thing. Don't have it.
Where is it?
This daft bastard traded it for a bag of potatoes.
Traded to who?
Oh, Cookie, of course.
Cookie? Oh, God.
Aye, fat lass does us soup.
Oh, God. Oh,
no,
God.
this is
When?
the worst kind of fetch quest.
When did you trade it?
Must have been 2-3 days ago.
Okay, I'm going to dash back upstairs.
Is this
Oh,
why the
God.
soup tasted funny?
Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. Oh.
So you kind of push your way past the crowd forming for our evening dinner. Several people kind of call out, and it looks like you're about to catch some fists until people kind of see your heavily armed backup following you. They think better of it. But by the time you kind of reach the front of the queue, most of the cathedral is kind of muttering and cussing you. But you push to the front, and sure enough, there's a fairly hefty lady ladling out soup.
Yeah,
you really should wait your turn, dearies. It's
no.
plenty enough for everybody.
There's no time to wait because before long, this building won't be standing. The egg. Where is the egg?
No. It's carrot and coriander tonight, my dear.
The egg that Adrian traded you for a sack of potatoes. What did you do with it?
Oh, well, I made it into soup a few days ago.
Oh no.
Auric faints.
Oh, he clearly needs some vitamins. Perhaps some carrot and coriander will perk him up.
Just pass
Gonna
the
look
coriander.
out. Gonna look out one of the windows and see how much worse the storm's getting.
It's bad. It's very bad. The wind is howling now, and the waves, even in the street, which is relatively sheltered, are starting to be kind of whipped up.
God. I think we need to evacuate. There's something coming, and it's going to kill everyone here.
Like, cooking's not that bad. Don't be melodramatic.
Don't suppose you still have the shell from that egg, do you?
Why ever would I keep a broken eggshell? No, it's long since gone.
Did the contents of that egg look normal?
Well, I don't really know what's normal for a mammoth egg now, do I?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, God.
How the heck do we go about persuading these mad people that a kraken's coming for them?
We could always do the old-fashioned jump on the tables, start screaming like a madman that the end of the world's coming and for everyone to run.
There is an option. I could just try and scare them away, or I'm gonna get lynched.
These people are very religious, aren't they? They believe.
They are very religious, yes.
What was the name? What was the name of the goddess?
Fomrius, the goddess of balance and strife.
Fomrius. Toric. Your illusion magic? Could you summon the goddess and tell these people to run for their lives? No? Okay. Where's the priest then? The head priest guy?
He's not queuing up for food, but he'll probably be here. So you start looking around. The crowd kind of gets back in line, starts eating their soup. By now, though, like the wind is kind of whistling through these kind of boarded up stained glass windows, and people are starting to mutter a little bit. Some of the kind of more astute listeners can hear kind of the waves starting to lap against the kind of the towers.
While we're doing this, is Harold still around following us, maybe?
He's gone and started queuing for his soup. He's hungry.
I'll shout to him as we're going. Harold, could you grab the harpoons from the launch and bring them up here? It's quite urgent.
He kind of looks at you for a bit, but seeing the expression on your face, he kind of closes his mouth just as he was about to say something, kind of nods and kind of breaks out into a quick jog towards the cathedral doors. Before too long, he's kind of back with a dozen or so harpoons in his arms, and he kind of props them up against the other wall.
Okay. And the priest.
Yeah. So you continue to look through the cathedral for him when you notice him kind of standing at the altar, the other side of the cathedral. So you start to push your way again back through this crowd to try and reach him. And you're about halfway there when you hear the kind of loud clanging of the cathedral bell. Everybody kind of stops what they're doing and kind of looks back to it. It clangs again and again and again, and then you just hear from the gantry, "They're coming!" That is probably where we're going to leave it tonight, because we do not have time for what comes next.
Oric just softly waking up to the bells like, can't believe we survived against the Kraken.
Against the mammoth.
Against the mammoth.
Wait,
Didn't
mammoth?
expect
Eggs?
Can we retcon that we use coriander as sniffing salts for Torek to get him back awake?
Yes, I will allow that.
Thank you. Things got a little bit carried away, but I did want to mention it at the time.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Oh, that's amazing.
Do it.
Money? Oh no.
As opposed to, just like cocaine.
We don't need
Imagine by this point, he probably has more of a tolerance to cocaine than he does for coriander, so probably more effective.
Yeah.
Best
way. Why not both?
Well, I thought we'd get some combat there, but to be honest, there's no point trying to cram it into an hour. Really.
Well, we're gonna have to fend off.
Gives you a whole week to come up with a really creative little thing for it, eh?
A little map, maybe?
Oh, something
I've already got the map. I've already got the map.
Something I
Can
wanted
we see what the cathedral looks like then? Or just before
no, because it's going to be a nice surprise, and it's not a full cathedral.
Surprise? Oh, jeez.
I wanted to speak to the group about something.